As ESPN, the Total Sports Network, welcomes you to Dallas, Texas, and the 66th edition of the Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships. ESPN, your Total Sports Network, presents NCAA Track and Field Championships. From the Morrison Bell Track on the campus of Southern Methodist University, it's the 1981 Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships. Today's event is brought to you by Natural Light Beer. Taste is why you'll switch to Natural Light. Hello, everybody. My name is Frank Fallon. In Dallas, Texas, at Morrison Bell Track on the campus of Southern Methodist University, set to bring you the 66th renewal of the annual Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships. We've got a lot to tell you about today. Larry Rawson is ESPN's track and field expert, a former international competitor himself. Larry, we're normally used to seeing the temperature in the mid-90s in Texas in May. Today, it's a gray, overcast, cool day that has changed the whole format of the meet.
Frank, I think this will benefit all the athletes here today. I think in temperatures when they're in the 50s, your body releases less fluids. I think you'll find that the performances today will be exceptional, even if the athletes aren't totally used to 50-degree temperatures here in May. All I've ever heard about is how warm it is down here.
You know, now, yesterday we had heavy rains that washed out the preliminaries completely, and we're going to see a format employed today, Larry, that we've never seen in the Southwest Conference before.
All the heats will be run in one day. It'll be on a time basis only. I think that hurts Texas and it hurts Arkansas because their runners, they have a better distance score than most schools, will have to double, in some cases triple in one day. So I think they're at a disadvantage because of the weather situation we have.
Also working along with us in the field and taking care of some of the interviews will be Ralph Boston. Ralph, of course, needs no introduction. He is a former Olympian, a former Olympic champion in the long jump. Ralph, we're going to be seeing some great people today. Let's talk a little bit about a young man by the name of Carl Lewis.
He's a guy I've known for quite a while, Frank. I knew him when he was a high schooler, and we talked quite frequently then. He's come quite a way since his high school days, of course, 28 feet, 3 3/4 inches, and running fantastic 160-yard dashes. So Carl's going to be one of the people to really look for in the meet today.
And Michael Carter of SMU.
Mike's a little bit different story, and I don't think the format of the meet's going to hurt either one of those guys, particularly Mike Carter, because I'm sure he's used to doubling. Mike's a guy you're going to see around for quite a while. I think the only problem with Mike and U.S. Olympic teams will be if he wants to play professional ball at the end of his career here.
Ralph, before you get away, let me ask you one quick question. What are you doing now for your many fans?
Well, I'm doing as little as I can, and I'm really enjoying it more, Frank. Actually, I'm in the insurance business in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'm doing a few other things around, and I enjoy doing the things here for ESPN.
Those are going to be some of the comments you'll hear from Ralph Boston and Larry Rawson as we bring you today's Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships from the campus of Southern Methodist University in Dallas. We'll be set to go with the first running event in just a moment.
Gordy, who? You switched to natural light.
Sure, natural light tastes better to me. That's why I switched.
And it's all natural ingredients. Tell me, Gordy, now that you've retired, life's a little more peaceful, huh?
Much more.
2 natural lights, please.
Give me a check. Check.
Natural light. Taste is why you'll switch.
I'm learning to take it easy.
Him too.
Check.
Hello, cable TV. I'd like the movie channel. No, not just a movie channel, the movie channel.
If you want the movie channel, ask for the movie channel.
That's right.
All right, we're about ready for our first running event of the afternoon, the 400-meter relay, which features the University of Texas in lane 2, SMU in lane 3, Texas A&M in lane 4, Houston in lane 5, Baylor in lane 6, and TCU in lane 7. Larry, we've had some outstanding times here. 4 of these teams under 40 seconds flat.
Well, for a collegiate team to get in the Hall of Fame, if you will, in a given year, getting under 40 seconds is certainly a tribute. And we have 5 of the top 7 under. This will be a great, fast race.
And some great anchormen. Carl Lewis for the University of Houston, Texas A&M to be anchored by Rod Richardson. Here we go. 400-meter relay.
It looks pretty even. Baylor is out by a step or 2 in the lead. They've run 39.55. Bruce Davis in the lead. Good exchange.
That's Leslie Kerr for Texas A&M running down the backstretch, and Texas running very well in lane 2.
They have the wind to their back during that backstretch and around the turn.
Houston in lane 5 with Carl Lewis on the anchor. Lewis will be running against Zeke Jefferson of Baylor and Herky Walls of Texas.
They're up.
Lewis
Good exchange.
has the baton, and Jefferson is out in front. That is Zeke Jefferson of Baylor out in front, being pursued by Carl Lewis. But the Baylor team, with anchorman Zeke Jefferson on the lead, will win the 400-meter relay.
Baylor had the best time coming in of 39 and 55/100ths of a second, and they passed the baton very smoothly. Built up a lead with Art McCullough on the backstretch, Gerald McNeil on the third leg, and had a nice lead with Zeke Jefferson. McNeil raised his hand. If we see that on the replay, Frank, you'll notice coming around the turn, he knew that Zeke could handle that.
So an excellent 400-meter relay by the Baylor team, which incidentally is made up of 3 freshmen and a sophomore, Bruce Davis, Arthur McCullough, and Gerald McNeil. The first 3 legs on the Baylor sprint relay are all freshmen and anchored by sophomore Zeke Jefferson. Jefferson is an interesting story. Let's watch this last handoff, Larry, coming from Gerald McNeil to Zeke Jefferson.
Smooth. He's away well. Notice he pumps his arms before he reaches back for the final move, Frank. There's the fist in the air I mentioned that you see.
Let me tell
Notice
you something interesting about Zeke Jefferson, the Baylor anchorman. Last year at the NCAA indoor meet, Larry, he was forced off the track, ripped a gash in his left thigh that required some 60 stitches to close, and really did not compete until May of last year, and has come back and is doing an excellent job for Baylor this year.
Frank, we did at ESPN the NCAA championships there, indoor championships at Detroit at Cobo Hall, the same facility with the low banks and the turns, and that was still talked about extensively for the 3 days of the meet itself, about the Zeke Jefferson's fall last year with 114 stitches in all parts of his body.
Larry, what are your thoughts as far as this weather is concerned? Of course, normally we're used to weather in the mid-90s here in Texas in May. Today we've got a temperature in the upper 50s. It's been raining, it's cool, forced the entire meet to 1 day. What kind of an advantage or disadvantage does that give to the various teams?
Personal feelings, I guess, from all the meets around the country. I think this is very good weather to compete in. I guess the temperature to be about 63 degrees, 65, somewhere in there. It's comfortable. The wind, which frequently whips across Texas, Frank, as you know so well, being a native here, is relatively calm right now. I'd say if they were running 100 meters, that what wind there is at their back might be considered legal at this very moment as we speak. It has been gusting more today, but I think the conditions are very, very good, particularly for milers.
Now there is one of the competitors here in the 66th Annual Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships from Morrison Bell Track on the campus of SMU University. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
The chips, the turns, the little secrets that come from the pros on putting, chipping, scoring better. And it's all right here in this special free gift from Golf Magazine. Write this number down, 1-800-228-3300, and take a look at what you'll get.
You get me, Ken Venturi, and I'll show you how to hit your pitch shot soft.
And me, Johnny Miller. I'll show you 8 ways to chip strokes off your score.
And me, Ben Crenshaw. I'll show you my 5 secrets to great putting.
It's the winning ways of golf's greatest players. A free 40-page guide, and it's all right out of golf. The Better Golf Magazine. Call today, 1-800-228-3300. You get 12 issues for just $7.87. That's 34% off the regular price. Plus shortcuts to the short game free with your paid subscription.
Now, that's the best advice a golfer can get.
Call today, 1-800-228-3300 for Golf Magazine.
Frank Fallon back with Larry Rawson at the Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships in Dallas, Texas. Let's take a look at the team scoring after 5 of the 19 events that will be contested here today. Arkansas leading with 43 points. SMU second with 34. Houston third with 26. And Texas is fourth with 15. All events, incidentally, are scored on a 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1 basis. No doubling for the relays. And we're going to be seeing now, coming into the view of our camera for the first time, Larry, the first of 2 heats in the 1,500-meter run. We've not really had a chance to explain exactly why we're going to be seeing so many heats in all of the events today.
The weather yesterday, Frank, we had lightning, heavy winds, and very, very severe rain. which, of course, this area of the country is needed down here for a while when you talk to anybody. Bottom line is that they shifted everything today. They shifted around the whole schedule of the meet, moved up the meet early when they found out that the weather was going to be cool. They're running all the heats today. Everything is on a time basis, so we'll be bringing you a number of the events. Also, in the southwest part of the country, relay legs are run frequently. And much of April and May is given over to relay running, and then the conference championships. Several top flight 200-meter, 400-meter runners haven't had a chance to get a good time. So we're going to see people have to run against the clock and not necessarily just against other top flight competitors. Those who are not in the seeded heats because they haven't had good performances this year.
All right, right now we are in the second of 4 laps of this first heat of the 1,500-meter run. And on the lead from Baylor University is a young man by the name of Doug Tucker. Running at his shoulder from the University of Texas is the outstanding half-miler from Jamaica, Owen Hamilton.
I might add, with all of the runners they're seeing here are approximately 4:08 milers that they've achieved that already this year. The metric distance is being the standard distance now in the Southwest Conference. They've run 3 minutes and 50 seconds, 3:51, which converts to about a 4:08 mile. So even in the non-seeded heat, it gives you an idea of the depth of talent now in the Southwest Conference. Tremendously improving conference in this country in every aspect. Known initially for its sprinters and speed, we now have people like Owen Hamilton, some youngster by the name of Doug Tucker. And what I mean by that is this conference is loaded with freshmen and sophomores. You're almost looking at a number of people here who have the best chance in the country of becoming potential U.S. Olympians in 1984 in Los Angeles for our country.
Larry, I understand, too, in running in these heats today, they will not be announcing the times of each heat until all of the heats have been run. What's the reason behind that?
Well, they don't want to give an unfair advantage to someone in the 400 meters or at 800 meters. Let's say the pace is slow for the first quarter. It'll give more impetus to a fellow who has to guess what the first half of the race was. It'll let him figure out his strategy and how he can best run it. They're doing their best. It's a little like not announcing the East Coast figures if you live in California during a presidential election.
All right, we're getting ready to go into the final lap of this first heat of 2 of the 1,500-meter run. And that is still Doug Tucker of Baylor on the inside, Owen Hamilton of the University of Texas running second. Alan Mute, who is a Phi Beta Kappa student at Rice, is running in the number 3 position.
Hamilton is in great position on the outside shoulder here. I think has to be accorded the favorite role here. He's an outstanding 800-meter man and ran in the Olympic Games for Jamaica in Moscow. He's run 1:46. He's in shape this year. He's had 2 races, and there he goes into the lead. He's had 2 races this year on the same day in 1 minute 47 seconds for 800 meters, and that's really outstanding time.
Final lap of this first heat of the 1,500-meter run, Owen Hamilton of Texas, and now coming like the wind for the University of Arkansas is Brian McDonald. For Houston, rather, is Bill Wilson from the University of Houston, who is challenging Owen Hamilton. That's Owen Hamilton, Bill Wilson, and Arkansas's Brian McDonald running third. But the battle for first place, and on the outside, coming from the University of Arkansas, is Brian McDonald.
McDonald pulling away from him. That's amazing. With a final burst of speed, Hamilton takes second. McDonald first. That's a big surprise.
We'll get a couple of moments break before we have the second heat, of course, and we have the results of that 400-meter relay, which led off the Southwest Conference track meet. Finishing in 6th place was SMU with a time of 40.05. 5th place belonged to Texas A&M. Now listen to this. 5th place, 39.85. 4th place went to TCU, 39.75. 3rd place to the University of Texas, 39.48. Finishing second was the University of Houston in 39.33. And the winning time for Baylor University, a new Southwest Conference record. And as a matter of fact, faster than the NCAA championship time last year. Baylor's winning time, 39.10. Last year's winner, Southern Cal, ran a 39.16. So that's the fastest ever run by a Southwest Conference team, 39.10. And let's look at that finish one more time in that first heat of the 1,500 meters.
Here he comes down the home stretch. I'll tell you, the Arkansas Razorbacks are ready today. They're running very well. They've done well in the distance events, and despite this not being the seeded heat, Brian McDonald, and they have a strong Irish contingent, as you'll see, outkicks Owen Hamilton, a man with great speed. Hamilton may be in over his head distance-wise, taking second.
We'll have the second heat of that 1,500 in a moment, but let's go to the infield now for former Olympic champion Ralph Boston.
Thanks a lot, Frank. I have here the winning Baylor relay team, the 400-meter relay team, who ran 39.10, 39.10, and in checking around, that might be a junior record because all these guys are under 19, so that's great. I'm going to let Zeke Jefferson, the anchor man, be the spokesman for the team. Zeke, why don't you introduce the rest of you guys?
Well, right here to my left, I have Arthur McCullough. He's from Terrell, Texas, and he's a freshman. Next to him is Gerald McNeil from Killeen, Texas, and he's a freshman. And Bruce Davis from right here, a hometown hero. He's a freshman also.
Now, I understand that Houston had probably the fastest qualifying time coming in, and you guys are going to be pressed by them, but they didn't phase you, huh?
No, we thought about it a little bit, but considering what we had and what we had to do, we felt we could do it.
Well, obviously, you did the right thing because you did win it. Congratulations. I know Coach Hart's not too hurt about that.
Ralph, can you hear me?
Congratulations, guys.
Ralph,
Back up. Yes, yes.
Tell
Larry.
those gentlemen that that's the 5th fastest time ever run by a collegiate team.
The 5th fastest time ever run by a collegiate team, gentlemen. That's another one, too. Congratulations. Take it back to Baylor. Back to you, gentlemen.
And an amazing fact, too, Larry and Ralph, in that, again, remember that we're talking about 3 freshmen and a sophomore. Those are 3 young men who will have 4 more years and another one who will have 3 more years to run together.
I can't emphasize enough what an impression this conference makes when you go talk with the coaches and they sit there and say freshman and sophomore, freshman and sophomore. That's all their team's made up of.
All right, now here is the second heat. This would be the seeded heat of the 1,500-meter run. And in lane 1, Todd Harbor of Baylor University, who has run the 2nd fastest 1,500-meter for a collegian ever. I think only Jim Ryan has ever run this race faster as a collegian. But that is not Harbor out in front. That is another Baylor freshman by the name of John Robinson from Pasadena-Dobie.
He's given an outside chance to win this whole thing because of a calf leg injury, really, that has been suffered by Harbor, and Harbor's been having to put up with that really almost all year. He's run 3:43, but Robinson's only a freshman. He's a 4:05 high school miler, that young man in the lead right now. He's from Texas. He was the Texas state champion in high school, has good speed, and likes to keep them honest, usually with a good pace.
Now, watch Harbor as he comes to the outside. That's Harbor moving up to take the lead. Todd Harbor on the lead. Tom Maloney of Arkansas is running in the number 2 spot. However, I believe TCU with William Johnson has just moved up into the number 1 position.
Frank, there's a tendency in conference championships, because people are doubling and tripling in races, to run as conservatively as you can, and it tends to make usually for close races, particularly when you know you're capable of beating the heat that just went on before you. So I look for the pace and everybody to be pretty well bunched together until the bell lap here, and then I think it all breaks loose there.
Harbor has a very good kick and normally comes from off the pace, but he's now running on the lead along with William Johnson of TCU. That's Tom Maloney of Arkansas and David Taylor of Arkansas right together, and SMU's entrant is Rob Topping. Harbor is on the outside in the green and gold from Baylor, and the man on the inside running second is William Johnson of TCU, and that is David Taylor of Arkansas running third. They'll have a lap to go in this 1,500 meters.
Frank, when I see somebody like of the talent of Todd Harbor, who just missed our U.S. Olympic team and was an alternate by 1/10 of a second, when I see him push the lead, it tells me that because of his injury, he is lacking the usual confidence he has in his speed, and his training has been off. Usually those people are very content knowing they can outkick everybody to lay back, but he is up there trying to control a race, running off the shoulder of our current leader right now from TCU.
Larry,
William
we
Johnson.
should mention, too, that Todd Harbor is trying for his 4th consecutive Southwest Conference championship in this event. He won it as a freshman, as a sophomore, and as a junior, and is now trying to win it for the 4th consecutive time, one of 3 men in this meet today who are trying for their 4th consecutive title.
He's from Port Isabel, Texas, and a very religious young man. Hopes he and his wife intend to work in the missions once graduation's upon them here. He's had an outstanding career, great 146 half-mile relay legs he's run. Here he's coming up to the bell lap, and you can throw a blanket over 6 of them.
Don Speranza of the University of Houston is running right on Harbor's shoulder on the outside. That is David Taylor of Arkansas, and the young freshman John Robinson of Baylor is in the number 4 position, with Rob Topping of SMU with a lap to go in this second or seeded heat in the 1,500-meter run. Harbor on the lead, followed by Speranza of Houston, Taylor of Arkansas, and Taylor making a move now on the outside with Topping of SMU and Robinson of Baylor coming.
Keep an eye on Taylor. He's a 3:43 1,500-meter runner. That's a 4:01 mile. The runners in the first heat ran 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Here's Taylor, and there's Todd Harbor fighting him off. This
Harbor
is going to be
has
interesting.
a pretty good kick, and as a matter of fact, he's starting to open it up on Taylor now. Harbor has not been able to run up on the balls of his feet all year because of that calf injury.
I think Taylor's not through. Let's see what happens around the turn here. I think he waited. He held off not to run an extra distance. Let's see if he makes
They're
another
coming
run.
into the wind now. Harbor, Taylor, Maloney, Topping, and Robinson. It is Todd Harbor who will apparently win his 4th consecutive Southwest Conference Championship. David Taylor of Arkansas, Tom Maloney of Arkansas, Rob Topping of SMU, and John Robinson of Baylor, I believe, in that order.
Nice call, Frank. Arkansas is doing very well here in the running events. I don't think anybody expected them to be so consistent from the 10,000 meters They've done well in the steeplechase. I think that they're the team to beat right now. I know we're just beginning the meet, if you will, and we've got more than 2/3 of it remaining. But Arkansas is showing very well here with a second and a third.
All right, let's see, Larry, I believe we'll watch that final kick again from right here in front of us on corner 4. Todd Harbor with David Taylor in hot pursuit. Tom Maloney of Arkansas is the third man, and the young freshman from Baylor is John Robinson.
Notice how he peeked over his shoulder, first right and then left, to make sure he had the going clear. He's running comfortably now, and he doesn't want to strain. He's got it nailed. 4 championships in a row. Very rare accomplishment.
Only Jim Ryan has ever run that distance faster as a collegiate. Let's go to the infield now for Ralph Boston.
Thanks very much, Frank. Todd Harbor here, the only man in quite a few years who's done 4 years in a row, Southwest Conference champion. 4 years in a row over 1,500 meters. That's got to be a pretty good accomplishment. How in the heck do you do it?
Well, I don't know. It's something I never dreamed about doing when I came in. It's just come over the years. You take it 1 year at a time, and you really don't think about, well, this is the second or the third in a row. You just go out and try to do your best each time.
But there had to be a little bit pressure coming into this one because everybody was talking about you and a couple of other guys in the meet who had a chance to make it 4 in a row.
Yes, there was a little pressure, but I just I do a lot of praying and a lot of talking to the man upstairs, and he's helped me a lot, and just my mental attitude going into each race, and I go to him for that.
Great. Now, I understand that you've had a little bit of a problem with the ball of your foot earlier in the year. You seem to have come through that quite well.
Yes, sir. I had a little tear in my calf muscle, and it kept me from doing much speed work, so I was able to train good, but I just wasn't able to get up on my toes to do any type of real speed work, and that's been hurting me, but the last 2 weeks I've been able to do some, and it felt real good today.
I'm sure, because it looked good, too. Congratulations, Todd.
Thank you.
4 in a row. Congratulations and best wishes. Back up to you guys.
You know, Larry, one of the things that we have not emphasized a great deal other than to give our team standings at one point is the fact that this is a team concept, and momentum is so very important. And in the first 2 running events, that 400-meter relay and then the 1,500-meter run, Baylor has won both of those events, and that could be important in the team chase.
Well, here at the Southwest Conference Championships, they really have never spread around this team title. Texas has dominated. Texas A&M has won their share, but teams such as Baylor have won very few times. TCU hasn't had their share. I see a greater balance coming in here looking at the freshmen and sophomores, Frank.
This is the 66th renewal of the Southwest Conference Championships. Texas has won 38 titles, A&M 14, Rice 8, Baylor 3, and surprisingly enough, Oklahoma won 2 championships back in the early years. So that means that 5 of the competing schools here have never won a Southwest Conference championship. We'll be back with the 110-meter hurdles in just a moment.
2 more NCAA baseball champions are crowned Sunday as ESPN brings you the final game in both the Southwest and Metro Conference tournament. In the Southwest, Texas is the defending champ, and the Longhorns are currently ranked number 5 in the nation. Florida State, number 11 nationally, returns all its starters from last year's Metro club, which includes NCAA home run king Mike Fuentes and Mike Yastrzemski. But Memphis State and Virginia Tech are tough, too. Enjoy NCAA baseball at its best right through the College World Series on ESPN.
A baseball champion is crowned Sunday on ESPN. Will the Texas Longhorns, ranked 5th in the nation, be robbed of another Southwest Conference title? The Grand Prix scene switches to San Marino, Italy, with top Formula One drivers battling the turn. And after SportsCenter, it's Game 3 in the Metro Conference Baseball Tournament as Tulane tries to gun down number 11 Florida State. ESPN is your ticket to total sports Sunday and every day.
Back to the action of the 66th Annual Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships. We're going to show you just the tag end of the first heat of this 3-heated 110-meter hurdle race. Remember now, they're running strictly against time, and the University of Houston, Ricky Roberson, David Say, and Jeff Morano get the first 3 places in this unseated heat. The 2 fastest heats are yet to come. The winner of that one is Ricky Roberson of the University of Houston. But, Larry, none of those fellows figure in the final standings in all likelihood.
Their best times coming into today's event were between 14.3 and 14.6. And there's conferences in the United States where they would place or win the conference championship with those times. But, of course, down here in the Southwest where speed is seemingly so important, Frank, these athletes don't make it into the seated heat.
World record, of course, established by Ronaldo Nehemiah, 13 seconds flat. That, of course, is the NCAA record as well. The Southwest Conference record is 13.74, held by Doc King. Doc King, now an assistant coach at Arkansas, ran that at the Rice University back in 1979. Let's take a look at the field now in this second heat. Mossy Cade of the University of Texas, who originally came to Texas as a football player, will be running in lane 2. James Wheatfall of Texas in lane 3. Craig Moody of Texas A&M in lane 4. Raymond Johnson of Baylor in lane 5. Carl Smith, who is the Southwest Conference Intermediate Hurdle Champion, will be running in lane 6. And Darrell Hooks of TCU in lane 7.
Mossy Cade is an interesting story, a highly sought-after football player from the usual small school that they seem to come from here in Texas. As we'll see later, Texas A&M has 3 of their outstanding mile relay entrants from the town of Snook, Texas, population 250 and half a gas station.
I want to tell you, I checked with Leslie Kerr before we went on the air, and he said it's now grown to 380.
People are really moving down in the Sun Belt, aren't they?
Right.
Mossy, I should add in, along with Carl Smith in this heat, are the 2 best, I think, individuals to watch for in lane 2 and in lane 6. Smith is also an outstanding 400-meter intermediate hurdler. They've been under 14 seconds electronic timing here coming up in this race.
Running again at a Southwest Conference record of 13.74, established by Doc King of Rice in 1979. Southwest Conference records, incidentally, are only recognized when they are established in conference meets. That is to say that performers might have a performance in another meet somewhere during the course of the year, but only conference records can be established in the conference meet itself. Again, the lane assignments: Mossy Cade of Texas is in lane 2, James Wheatfall of Texas in lane 3, Craig Moody of Texas A&M in lane 4, Raymond Johnson of Baylor in lane 5, Carl Smith of Texas is in lane 6, and Darrell Hooks of TCU in lane 7.
That's a nice angle by our cameraman. You get a good look at them in the form coming over the hurdles. Lanes 2 and lane 6, as we mentioned. Carl Smith won the 400 intermediate hurdles in this meet as a freshman. And another freshman sensation, Mossy Cade, was a top high school hurdler and football player as well.
Larry, I guess this is probably about the only metric event where it is exactly the same, or virtually exactly the same, as its yard equivalent.
That's true. It takes a little getting used to, talking about metric system. I've noticed in track and field this year, maybe an interesting point, they used to say the 1,600-meter relay. Now there's a tendency to call it 4x400 meters, because people know 400 meters and 400 yards are just 0.3 of a second apart in the sport. So they're just about the same. They now say 4x800 relay when they have a half-mile relay. So Americans are getting used to the metric system slowly but surely, but I think it has kind of caused some consternation in the sport, Frank.
These hurdles, incidentally, are 3 feet 6 inches tall, and they go over a barrier, a flight of 10 hurdles apiece. What's the distance between those hurdles, Larry? You have an approximation on that?
Let me just add one thing here about Cade. I just wanted to bring up a point here. Cade has not been able to practice much of the last month because he's been with the Texas football team. So this is going to be interesting to see if he can duplicate his 13.9.
He very well may be a starting defensive halfback this year. Cade is in lane 2. All right, they're off and running in the second heat of 3 in the 110-meter high hurdles. Out in front, that is Mossy Cade of the University of Texas on the outside. Wheatfall of Texas running second. Raymond Johnson of Baylor is running third, along with Craig Moody of Texas A&M. But the winner of the heat was Mossy Cade of the University of Texas on the inside.
Talent shows.
Yes, it does.
I don't care if you're out for football and you're missing your meets on the weekends and they're banging you around in practice. You still limber up the muscles and they seem to stretch over the hurdles without the training.
Larry, I guess another thing might be interesting to point out. You don't have to clear the hurdles. I guess you could knock down all 10 of them,
You can knock them down, but if you talk to the runners, number one, you're going to, number one, lose the race. Number two, maybe injure yourself or hurt yourself. And another important point is you could knock the guy off balance who's next to you, too.
I think we'll have a chance to look at it again from down low over the last couple of 3 hurdles. Now, remember, Mossy Cade on the inside in lane 2 is the football defensive back from the University of Texas. James Wheatfall, his teammate, is running right on his shoulder. And over in lane 5, Raymond Johnson of Baylor. And in lane 4, Craig Moody of Texas A&M, waging quite a battle for the 3rd spot in this second heat. Cade, Wheatfall, and I don't know whether it was Johnson or Moody.
Ralph,
Ralph Boston's down there somewhere. Ralph, you had a comment?
Yeah, I think something very important just happened. Carl Smith, who won the intermediate hurdles last year, only cleared 2 hurdles in that race and pulled up just before the 3rd hurdle, grabbing his left hamstring, so he might be out of the competition, and I'm sure that's a blow to the University of Texas.
That's a very good point, Ralph, because he is the defending champion in the intermediates, and there is Carl Smith from Jamaica, I believe. And Carl may be through for the day.
I'm almost sure he's through because he was in a good deal of pain, and the trainer came out and helped him off. But But as I said, he cleared 2 hurdles. The first one and then kind of faked it at the second one, and then that was it. The pencil broke, and that's all she wrote.
Ralph, a lot of people, of course, may not recall the fact that in addition to being a world-class long jumper, you were a pretty fair high hurdler.
Yeah, I'd say you were about right, pretty fair. I could hold my own against old ladies and you know, guys like that who had been around for 30, 40 years. But I never got into it, Frank, with the heavy guys. I just kind of looked at them and wished them my best and left them alone.
Ralph, you and Lyndon Johnson remind me of great modesty, because when he was president, he used to say, "I'm just a little old country boy from Texas." And you're a talented guy in 7 or 8 events. I'd like our fans to know. You competed in a few decathlons and did well.
I think we can look at this again. Now, watch over in lane 6. That is Carl Smith with both thighs heavily taped. Carl gets over the first hurdle, tips it a little bit, tips the second hurdle,
he's in
and
problem
he's
right now.
down at the second, between the second and the third hurdle. That is Carl Smith of the University of Texas. He is the intermediate champion and obviously is through for the day. Now comes the fast heat in this 110-meter high hurdles. We'll get a look at it from lanes 2 through 7. Stephen Baker of the University of Houston is over in lane 2. Mike Glaspie of Texas A&M in lane 3. The defending champion, Billy Bush of Texas A&M, is in lane 4. The outstanding freshman from SMU, Dennis Brantley of SMU, is in lane 5. Rick Thomas of Texas A&M is in lane 6, and Cletus Clark of the University of Houston is in lane 7.
Classic study in lane 4 and in lane 5. Lane 4, Billy Bush, don't expect him to get out quickly. Billy Bush will probably have to make up ground on Dennis Brantley, who I think will have the lead and should be considered the favorite coming in the body of the race. He's an excellent technician. Brantley gets out quickly. He and Clark were the 2 outstanding high school hurdlers in the United States last year. Both came to the Southwest Conference to compete.
I believe Dennis Brantley ran the second fastest time ever for a high schooler, ran a 13:1, and only Ronaldo Nehemiah ever ran it faster in high school. And he has a 13.60 as the fastest of any of the hurdlers in this field. But he's running against the defending champion, Billy Bush of Texas A&M, who is right beside him in lane number 4, and Mike Glaspie of Texas A&M is the former Southwest Conference indoor hurdle champion.
Talent galore. I expect this conference to be producing many of the members of our Olympic team in 1984. The point is, we're in 1981 now. The gun appears to be up, although the runners didn't appear to be set.
And the public address announcer is still talking. I believe the...
Okay.
Yes, now
my
he's
point
getting ready to
simply
send
was
them
that these men are freshmen. They're outstanding talent. It's 1981. They'll be seniors by the time 1984 rolls around. They'll have 4 years of consistent training.
All right, here goes our start of the third and final heat of the 110-meter high hurdles. Houston represented with 2 hurdlers. Texas A&M has 3 and SMU has 1. This may be the money heat. Dennis Brantley of SMU is out in front. That's Dennis Brantley of SMU and Stephen Baker. It's Stephen Baker of Houston and Brantley of SMU. Boy, an absolute photo finish with Cletus Clark, Stephen Baker of Houston, and Dennis Brantley of SMU. Boy, that one was awfully close.
Brantley, in his effort to lunge for the tape, went down and rolled over. That was Brantley, you saw in your picture, diving for the finish and unable to control himself once past the line. Hopefully he'll be all right. He seemed to roll well. What a great finish.
It was either Stephen Baker of Houston, who was on the inside in lane 2, or Cletus Clark of Houston on the outside, or Brantley in the middle of the track. And the defending champion, Billy Bush, certainly finished no better than 4th. As they start out the race, you've got Brantley over the first hurdle. Brantley has the lead, but I believe Stephen Baker of Houston in lane 2 may be in front of him.
Watch Baker in the left of your screen, and watch Clark and Brantley in the middle. Now you see it's Baker, still with the lead, over the last hurdle. Now the sprint to the tape. Speed plays a role here.
I believe Brantley won it. I'm going to say Brantley won it with Clark second and Baker third.
Baker's mistake, he didn't seem to lean at the tape for one thing that is very evident right there to me. Watch at this angle. We'll see who does the dip.
Now, Brantley is the young man from SMU in the middle, and nearest to you is Stephen Baker of Houston. On the far side is Cletus Clark of Houston. I believe
That's
it was Brantley.
And maybe even Clark in second and Baker third.
Yes. Well, that's the third heat of the 110-meter high hurdles. Running it, remember, against time. We might remind you from time to time that yesterday we had rain all day long, and as a result had no preliminaries. And as Larry Rawson has pointed out on several occasions, that has changed the complexion of this meet entirely, because in effect a lot of the runners who would have had to run twice, running some yesterday and some today, are having to run only once.
It's true. It's a difficult task. It changes the complexion of the meet, and I think for Texas and for Arkansas particularly, it's a handicap because they have the better distance runners in the conference. I'm amazed and impressed with how well Arkansas has done here. They really have seemed to held up well here under the repeats that they've done. They've had to repeat already.
Well, I don't think we've ever given you the official results in that 1,500-meter run. So let me do that for you. Dan Foley of Houston was 6th. This is the finals of the 1,500-meter run. 5th place went to Rob Topping of SMU. 4th place, John Robinson, the Baylor freshman. 3rd, Tom Maloney of Arkansas. 2nd, David Taylor of Arkansas. And winning his 4th consecutive Southwest Conference championship in the 1,500-meter run was Todd Harbor of Baylor with a time of 3:45.6. Let's go to the infield now where Ralph Boston is standing by.
Thanks, Frank. I've got Dennis Brantley here. He's got some scuffs on his shoe toes and did a pretty good roll on there. You look good rolling, man. But you roll into victory, and that's the important thing, right?
Well, I know we had to win because we're going for the team championship. And my 10 points would help a lot. And been having a little bad time, but I finally got able to put everything together today. And I'm just happy that I won.
You were obviously pretty close why you had to end up rolling like that. You didn't hurt anything, did you?
No, I didn't. I just saw 2 guys on the side of me from Houston, and I just started running a little bit more harder.
Well, I imagine that's what you call dedication to go at it like that. You probably shouldn't have run so fast, or you wouldn't have to run anymore the rest of the year.
Yeah, but I wanted to run the rest of the year. Now I'm looking forward to the NCAAs, which I hope to do as good as I did indoors. I got 5th place indoors, and I want to better that.
Well, as we can see by that shot we just looked at, you do well rolling. So congratulations. Try to stay off the track a little bit more on your knees and run some, all right? Back to you, Frank.
That's Dennis Brantley from Houston Worthing High School at SMU. We'll be back with more from the 1981 Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships in Dallas in just a moment.
The new world car, Ford Escort, now shows you another face. The sporty Ford Escort SS. It shows its stripes, pulls with front-wheel drive, handles with rack and pinion steering, smooths with 4-wheel independent suspension, informs and invites. The sporty Ford Escort SS, built in America to take on the world, and doing it.
Adventure, romance, fantasy, the stars we know and love to see. We're taking the movies to America. So settle in your easy chair, the movie channel will be there. Taking the movies to America.
The Movie Channel. All movies 24 hours a day. For great movies round the clock, ask for The Movie Channel by name.
We're taking the movies.
For more information, call your cable TV company.
Welcome back to the annual Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships at Morrison Bell Track on the campus of SMU in Dallas, Texas. My name is Frank Fallon, working along with Larry Rawson, ESPN's track and field expert, the voice of the Boston Marathon, and a former international competitor himself. And, of course, the Olympic champion of 1960 and a competitor in 2 other Olympics, Ralph Boston, along the infield. And Larry, we're about ready for the first of 3 heats now in this 400-meter dash. The Southwest Conference record, as you see, is 45.56. And Leslie Kerr of Texas A&M, who will be running in the 3rd heat, is the holder of that. The world and NCAA records are held by Lee Evans, formerly of San Jose State. Lane number 1, Ricky Props of Houston. Lane 2, Curtis Ford, Texas Tech. Lane 3, Paul Jones of Arkansas. Lane 4, Pat Mitchell of Arkansas, who is a member of Arkansas's outstanding 1,600-meter relay team. Ron Hudson of SMU in lane 5, Ricky Faggett of the University of Texas in lane 6, and Art Allen of Houston in lane 7.
This event is the deepest, Frank, of all of the ones we'll see. All 3 heats will have outstanding caliber talent. Really fine performances can be expected. Wins at their back down the stretch.
Pat Mitchell of the University of Arkansas moving very well in lane 4. He is a member of a 1,600-meter relay team that has run under 3:05 this year.
He's also won 2 indoor Southwest Conference 400-meter titles. Look at him move.
On the inside of him is Paul Jones of Arkansas. This is Pat Mitchell of Arkansas with his teammate from Arkansas, Paul Jones, on the inside. And in lane number 1, Ricky Props of Houston. So it appeared to be Pat Mitchell of Arkansas, Paul Jones of Arkansas, and Ricky Props of Houston in the first of 3 heats in the 400-meter run. and running, of course, strictly against time.
Imagine, if you will, if you're a viewer at home and you know that 46 point something is a fine time for 400 meters anywhere in the country, to think that this is the slowest of the 3 heats. Paul Jones has run 46.4 before in history, and he can only run in an unseeded heat here in the Southwest Conference.
Let's give you a quick update as we have it on the team totals now. Houston has moved into second place ahead of SMU following 8 of the 19 events in the Southwest Conference. We'll, of course, be keeping you up to date on the second and third heats in this 400-meter dash. The current leader is Arkansas with 57 points. Now, remember that Arkansas has never won the Southwest Conference Outdoor Championship. The University of Houston is second with 49 as the figures appear on your screen. SMU getting some very good performances and running on their home track, getting a little added impetus. They are running in the number 3 spot currently with 47 points. Baylor with that 39-10 victory in the 400-meter relay, and then Todd Harbour's victory in the 1,500 meters. They have come on to 4th place with 25 points. The other teams in the standing now, Texas is 5th with 24, and that's a little bit of a surprise because Texas came into the meet as the prohibitive favorite, and we're almost halfway through, and the Longhorns are in 5th place. In 6th place is Texas A&M, the defending champion, with 20 points. TCU is 7th with 12, and that represents 2 more points than they scored in the entire meet last year. In 8th place at the present time is, let's see, who do we have? Tech with 4, well, we have Rice with 10 points, and Tech is 9th with 4. So again, at the top, it is Arkansas 57, and in second place with 49 is the University of Houston.
Our viewers might be interested to know that Bubba Thornton was just hired, the former Buffalo Bills football player, and he also played his college football at TCU and ran track there, and he'll be joining them as their coach next year.
Here's a look again at the final 110 meters of that 400-meter first heat with Pat Mitchell of Arkansas on the lead, followed by Paul Jones of Arkansas, and over on the inside, Ricky Props of Houston.
Watch Jones come on here at the end. Notice the pump of the arms. You youngsters out there in high school competition, that's the way to finish your race. Sure, your legs may be stifling and you may feel very difficult and uncomfortable. Use your arms to help lift you, just like Paul Jones did.
Jones came in to defeat his teammate Pat Mitchell of Arkansas. Now we've got the second heat, and the times begin to become a little bit more impressive. Sam Caesar of the University of Houston will be running in lane 1. He has a best this year, 47.28. Lane 2, Leslie Brooks of SMU, who's run 46.97. Lane 3, Edwin Newsom of Texas Tech, 46.9. Lane 4, and that's Bobby Burkhalter of Baylor, the man closest to you, with a best of 47.07. Greg Watson of the University of Texas, 46.91 in lane 5. Alan Ingram of TCU in lane 6 with 47.14, and Stanley Redwine of Arkansas, 47.6. He has to be the big name in this particular heat, Larry.
Well, this native Dallas Texan who came home to run here in the Southwest Conference Championships is a man who has run some great, marvelous relay legs earlier this year, but he has not had a chance to have an excellent time outdoors. In an open race, as they say. 47.6 is his best. He can run a lot better. He's going to have to run the race blind, as they say. He's going to be out in lane 7. He will not be able to see any of his competitors in this, Frank. I think he's got his work cut out for him. He and Brooks in lane 2, I think, are the class of the field. But he's going to have to, in effect, Stanley Redwine from the outside, try and run a time trial.
Larry, we can tell you very quickly in the first heat that Paul Jones ran a 46.55 and Pat Mitchell a 46.81. Now, the other runners do not know that, because none of the times will be announced until all of the heats have been completed. Redwine, incidentally, is the anchor man on that Arkansas sprint relay team that ran a 3:04.63 at the Penn Relays.
9 times this year, Stanley Redwine on the outside has run relay legs under 45 seconds. 9 times. He's on the outside. Let's see what he does.
At the first turn, there appears to be no appreciable difference, although Redwine is running very well. I believe from the University of Texas, Greg Watson is running well out in lane number 5. Watson from Denison, Texas. And on the inside, SMU getting a good run from Leslie Brooks, and Bobby Burkhalter of Baylor running pretty well in lane 4. Here they come off the final turn. University of Texas has Greg Watson coming on the inside. It is Watson out in front and Redwine to the outside. The battle will be between Greg Watson of Texas, Stanley Redwine of Arkansas, and Leslie Brooks of SMU. It is going to be Watson of Texas, Redwine of Arkansas, and Brooks of SMU.
What an upset. Greg Watson, a member of their 4x400 meter relay team, pulls it out. Redwine fading in the stretch. He was pumping his arms here with just about 150 yards to go. He maybe knew he was in trouble. Usually you don't start that action till the straightaway.
Right,
notice him working hard. On the outside, you'll see both runners are coming down the home stretch. It's take off the shackles time. Notice that they're almost even here. I'd say there's a one-step lead at this point by Greg Watson. Watson really pulls away from Redwine and also pulls away from Leslie Brook, the outstanding freshman, former state high school champion here last year.
Greg Watson from Denison, Texas, winning the second heat. And we'll have one more heat to go, and we'll get a chance to watch Leslie Kerr and Zeke Jefferson. But right now, let's go to Ralph Boston in the infield and talk about a very busy young man today from Texas A&M. Ralph?
Thank you, Frank. Jimmy Howard has been in a few events. He triple jumped this morning. I think he took a couple of long jumps. He threw the javelin. And he's basically a high jumper, as he made our Olympic team last summer. And you can see his right leg is a little bit taped. I think had it not been for all of the events that Jimmy Howard was in, he'd be much better than he is right now. His first jump, he came into the competition at 7 feet. Now, there is a theory that all high jumpers usually have their best jumps around their 7th or 8th jump in the competition. But considering all the things he's done, this might be like his 14th or 15th jump. And this is 7.4½, very close at a conference record. But he's been very, very busy. In fact, maybe a little bit too busy, but that's, I think, characteristic rather of all conference championships.
John, I guess he certainly must have had an unusual situation today. And well, let me ask Larry to look at this high jump for just a moment. Larry?
Watch the plant, the lift of the arms, the rotate. He rotates his body a little later than most. Notice the clearance, the carriage is good. He just hits it with his behind on the way down. That's probably the biggest fault of high jumping. You just tend to come down on the bar a little bit. It was a good jump technically.
But I think he would, had he not been in all those events today, that's an easy jump for him. Even with the cool weather, that's still not too bad. I think he could handle that, and still he might clear it. He's still got a couple of jumps left.
Ralph, I'll mention one more thing quickly. It's very difficult with all these other events to jump back to this after you've gone 7 feet and immediately try 7.4¼
Absolutely, Larry. You've got to kind of build up gradually to it. You've got to have the mentality to deal with it.
He's done 7.3¼ for an all-time best. That would have been his all-time best jump, and he actually had a very good jump at that height.
All right, fellas, we better introduce this 400 meters because we've got a chance to see a smoker here. In lane 1 is Russell Carter of SMU. Lane 2, Zeke Jefferson of Baylor, who has a best of 45.96 and anchored that Baylor sprint relay earlier. In lane 3, Oder Sigurdsson of the University of Texas, 46.70 is his best. Lane 4, Richard Sweet of SMU, who's run 46.48. Lane 5, Leslie Kerr of Texas A&M, going for his 4th consecutive Southwest Conference Championship, has a best of 45.41 this year. Lane 6 is the young man who finished second to Leslie Kerr last year in this event. There should be a T in there. It's Bill Hartson of Baylor with a best this year of 46.27. In lane 7, Ian Stapleton of the University of Texas, 46.79. And in lane number 8, we have Festus Ogunfayimi of TCU, whose best is 46.22. And remember again, Leslie Kerr in lane 5 is going for his 4th consecutive Southwest Conference Championship.
Watch lanes 1, 2, lanes 5, Leslie Kerr from Texas A&M, and Bill Hartson in lane 6. Those 4 lanes probably could decide the whole thing. It would be an upset if anybody else were able to sneak in. Sweet's an outstanding runner, too. Very hard to separate these people. They're almost all of them have run 45.5 or better on relay legs.
As a matter of fact, Kerr had a 44.3 relay league at Texas A&M's Invitational meet about 3 weeks ago.
Jefferson's also run 44.9 on a relay leg, so the talent is really amazing.
All right, we're ready for the 3rd and final heat, and it's a false start. So apparently we'll have the runners to come back as they had gotten away, but the second recall starter called them back. So
Frank,
we'll have the heat over. Yes, Ralph?
I don't know if there's well, I was just going to ask if there is that rule, if the Southwest Conference use that rule.
Yes, they use the one false start and you're out, Ralph.
But the head starter just said there was no false start. The runner in lane 8 could not hear the commands of the starter, and so he apparently raised his hand, and the recall starter then fired the gun. There is no false start on that race.
We've just been informed that in the second heat, apparently Greg Watson getting ready for Jimmy Howard at 7.4¼ again. I think Greg Watson, the winner of the second heat, was disqualified.
He claimed a foul, and the ruling is pending right now. That's the word that we've got, so we'll hear in a minute.
While we wait for the restart of this 400-meter heat, it's 7.4¼ Jimmy Howard of Texas A&M, the conference champion.
Oh,
outstanding effort.
Oh, that was the best effort I've seen in quite a while at that particular height.
All right, we're ready to go, I think, with this 3rd and final heat in the 400-meter dash. Again, it's Carter of SMU, Jefferson of Baylor, Sigurdsson of Texas, Sweet of SMU, Kerr of Texas A&M, Hartson of Baylor, Stapleton of Texas, Ogunfayimi of TCU.
You football fans might watch Russell Carter in lane 1. It's tough to run from that lane, but in 6 football games for SMU this year, he went over 1,000 yards.
Fair start. Leslie Kerr running in lane number 5, going for his 4th consecutive Southwest Conference championship. Zeke Jefferson of Baylor in lane 2, probably his chief competition, but Bill Hartson of Baylor has moved up very well in lane number 6. And look at Kerr come down the backstretch. Leslie Kerr has assumed the lead. That's Leslie Kerr of Texas A&M. Watch Zeke Jefferson in lane 2 and Bill Hartson in lane 6. But it is definitely Leslie Kerr of Texas A&M and Jefferson coming on the inside. The battle will be between Kerr of A&M and Jefferson of Baylor. Here they go. Zeke Jefferson of Baylor, Leslie Kerr of Texas A&M. Will Kerr come back to win it or not? It is Kerr and Jefferson. Who is going to get it? It is Jefferson and Kerr, and it looks like a dead heat. What a race.
What a fabulous race. Courage all the way, and both men knew that they were going to be dead with just 110 to go. They knew the way they ran. They went all out, and the runners have been dying running into the headwind, Frank. That's a really tough way to run the race. They know it's going to be kind of a confession time down this straightaway.
Here it is again, Larry, and I don't know how you could pick between these two. There is Jefferson on the inside, the sophomore from Waco Richfield High School and Baylor, and on the outside, Leslie Kerr from Texas A&M of the small Texas community of Snook.
When you have the pride and you have the courage, and when you're a great runner, as these two runners are, you want to be free of the pack. You want to lead. You want to press everybody else, and they're both challenging each other. Look at how badly Jefferson's tying up. Look at the lunge. That'll take the photo, I think, to separate those two.
Now remember, Leslie Kerr was going for his 4th consecutive Southwest Conference championship. There is Leslie Kerr. So I don't know whether there's been a decision made yet or not. It was very, very close. Obviously, nobody else figured in that one other than just Jefferson and Leslie Kerr.
No, they went out at probably 22, maybe 22-3, 22-4 through their 200-meter time around a turn to give our people at home a feel of how fast these guys go. And then they kept going.
Now, these guys have got to come back and run the anchor on that 1,600-meter relay a little bit later on, so we'll see them against each other again.
Gentlemen, I don't know how fast that time was, but I've never seen two runners out more on their feet than these guys were when they crossed the finish. Carr was out on the track, literally out on his back, just dead, and he's still not moving around very much now, so I would imagine those guys ran some fantastic kind of time.
Last attempt at 7.4 for James Howard of Texas A&M. He got
it! Beautiful!
He got it! A new career best and a Southwest Conference record for James Howard, the Olympian from Alvin, Texas, who had earlier surprised everybody by getting a 3rd in the triple jump in his first effort of the year. Jimmy Howard of Texas A&M over the bar at 7.4 a new Southwest Conference record, and his 2nd event of the day. Jimmy Howard of Texas A&M. What an event.
7.4 and how about just jumping up 4 inches? That's like somebody saying, all right, you've assaulted a 20-story building, now go over the Empire State Building.
Now the disqualification on Howard for running out of the lane, or the Greg Watson, that is, rather in that 2nd heat. But I think it'll become academic when we get the times in that 3rd heat concerning Zeke Jefferson and Leslie Kerr of Texas A&M. And incidentally, both Kerr and Jefferson had also run one event before because both of them ran on the sprint relays.
That's correct. They used that for the warm-up, just to loosen up those muscles. And I'm sure, in a sense, that felt comfortable to them because of the speed they had to carry for 4x100 meters.
You know, this young man, Jimmy Howard, was also quite a basketball player in high school at Alvin. And is obviously a very well-rounded athlete, a member of the U.S. Olympic team, and has cleared 7.4
His all-time best there, the 7.3 you see, was what he did in making our U.S. Olympic team and finishing 2nd, by the way, and that was a bit of a surprise. He defeated a host of people who had gone as high as 7 feet 5 and 7 feet 6 inches, and he's obviously a money player because when the chips were down today after 2 misses, his 3rd time at 7.4 all-time best.
Well, when we come back in just a moment, we'll give you the exciting results of that 400-meter dash, and we'll have more of the 1981 Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships from Dallas in just a moment.
When it's summer, there's only one thing better than a 6-pack of ice-cold Budweiser, and that's 2 6-packs of Bud.
Pick a pair. Pick a pair. Pick a pair. Take 2 by Bud.
Look for this display and pick a pair of 6-packs, 12-packs, or even cases. It's the smart way to buy the king of beers.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
I'm Bob Guccione, editor and publisher of Penthouse magazine. And this is where we work to bring the truth to you. Hard-hitting truth. Truth about prisons and politicians, big business and little people, the corruption and abuses of our most basic freedoms. I'm proud of the work we do here, proud of the fact that Penthouse is one of the 3 most quoted magazines in America, on political issues alone. Investigative journalism is a crucial part of the Penthouse commitment, because what you don't know could hurt you.
This ESPN Sports Center update is brought to you by Blue Nun, the delicious imported premium white wine. Blue Nun goes everywhere.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sharon Smith in the ESPN newsroom. Let's take a look right now at the baseball scores from this afternoon. First of all, in the American League, Baltimore, was it Detroit, rather, ran away with that game. The score there, 9-2. 2 home runs for Doug DeCinces in that game. Winning pitcher Mike Flanagan is now 6-3 on the season. Dave Rozema took the loss. He's 2-4. Sammy Stewart got a save in that game. They had an hour rain delay in the 6th inning in Milwaukee between Boston and Milwaukee, but they've now resumed. Boston is leading 8-1. Dave Schmidt, a home run for Boston in that game. For Milwaukee, Easterly is now pitching in the 9th inning for Milwaukee. And Toronto is at Oakland this afternoon. Oakland leading that game 2-0. They're in the bottom of the 4th inning there. And I'll be back with the National League scores in just a minute.
There's a fine white wine that goes with everything, from fish fillet to beef fillet, from cheese to hors d'oeuvres to pâté. Crisp, light, delightfully dry, with a European charm that's always right. Blue Nun, the delicious imported premium white wine.
Blue Nun goes anytime, any place with anything. Blue Nun goes everywhere. Blue Nun.
The Dodgers came up with 4 runs in the top of the 10th inning today to defeat the Cincinnati Reds 9-6. Now, Fernando Valenzuela started the game for Los Angeles, but he pitched only 8 innings. The game was tied up in the 9th, so he did not get the win. The win to Dave Stewart in relief for Los Angeles. He's now 3-0. The losing pitcher, also in relief, Paul Mosco. Now, home runs for Los Angeles, Steve Garvey, Darryl Thomas, Ron Say, and Jay Johnstone. Now, Steve Dillard and Ivan Jesus delivered RBI singles in the 7th to help the Chicago Cubs to a 6-4 win over the Montreal Expos. Starting pitcher Rick Russell got the win in that game. The loser was Ray Burris. Dick Tidrow got a save in that game. There is a 3-way tie for the lead after the 3rd round of the Memorial Golf Tournament in Ohio today. The leaders are Craig Stadler, Tom Kite, and George Archer, all at 4 under par. 4 golfers, including Tom Watson, at -3. I'm Sharon Smith, and in just a minute, we will go back to the track and field championship.
This ESPN Sports Center update has been brought to you by Blue Nun, the delicious imported premium white wine. Blue Nun goes everywhere.
Rand Macklin, Louisiana State University. LSU's basketball team has attained great success in the NCAA tournament during Durand's outstanding career. Durand Macklin is one of America's premier basketball stars. Durand Macklin also is an exceptional young man concerned about important priorities for his life.
After playing basketball here at LSU, I tend to go back to school. You know, funny as it may seem, I tend to go back to school and obtain my master's degree. It goes back to some of the type of friends that I hang around with. My friends, the guys that I hang around with, they're school-oriented, and they're pushing for their BS degree as well as their master's degree. Being a student athlete, it's really tough. You go away on road trips, and you're expected to keep up with the schoolwork, and you have to take your books on the road and study in motels and in between hours of practice and dinner time on the road, and it's a big challenge.
Higher education. People preparing for tomorrow's challenge.
If you like this kind of track and field competition, ESPN will take you to the Division III championships, where Glassboro State is the defending champion, and that'll be coming on Saturday, June 6th, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 9:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time for the NCAA Track and Field Division III championships. Now then, Ralph Boston is with a very busy young man, Jimmy Howard.
Thank you very much, Frank. And yes, Jimmy Howard has been busy today. I saw him earlier today triple jumping. You surprised some people, Jim, and you got third. Yep. Then I saw you warming up for the long jump, and obviously you didn't do too well with that, or you didn't want to bother with that. Then I understand you threw the javelin, and after all that, you come back and clear 7.4 1/4. How do you do it?
It's all in my training. I trained to do a lot of hard work like that, and I thought I was only going to high jump today, but I was told this week I was going to do all 4. So I was just planning on just winning the high jump and not really jumping very high. I'm happy with what I did, really.
Okay, now you went 7.4 1/4 and didn't go any higher, and I think there is a little bit of reasons why. You want to tell the fans why?
Yes, I have pulled muscles in my leg, and I have a bruised heel. It all originated from the triple jump today. I've only done that one time all year, so I'm not really practiced up on that event very much.
But then with what you've done today, if you did a few more events, maybe you'd clear about 8 feet high in the high jump.
Yes, I hope so.
Congratulations. Great job.
Thank you.
Back to you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ralph. This is the second heat now of the 100-meter dash. Running in lane 2 is Wayne Johnson of the University of Texas. Lane 3, Devin Lewis of the University of Houston. Lane 4, Philip Epps of TCU. Lane 5, Charles Young of the University of Houston. Lane 6, Gerald McNeil from Baylor. And Lane 7, Hugh Spooner of Texas. There are no less than 3 outstanding Southwest Conference football players in this second heat. Wayne Johnson of Texas is a wide receiver. Philip Epps of TCU is a wide receiver. And Gerald McNeil of Baylor is a defensive back and a kick returner. So we should have some outstanding speed in the second heat of this 100-meter dash. And you fans who are hanging on the edge of your seats wondering about that 400-meter dash, I'll give you the results of that right after this second heat of the 100-meter dash.
I'd like to encourage all football players out there to consider running track and field just as these 3 stars are doing, these wide receivers. Everybody's thinking of Johnny Lamb Jones and the money he made, but if you're a second or third round draft choice in the NFL, you're probably privileged to take for a bonus up to $100,000, in some cases as much as $200,000. If you're an 8th round draft choice, you just make the team and you get a salary.
Second heat, 100-meter dash.
I think
we had a false
Devon
start.
Lewis, I think.
In lane 3. Again, Wayne Johnson of Texas is in lane 2, running with that right thigh heavily taped. Devin Lewis of Houston is in lane 3. Let's see if we can get another look at it, and perhaps you can tell Larry who jumped.
It's Devin Lewis, I believe, and he knows it too.
He's in lane 3.
Watch him up first. There he is. Boy, you know, you don't anticipate the starter. The coaches will say that until they're blue in the face. Listen for the gun. Don't anticipate in a championship meet.
And the Southwest Conference using the NCAA 1 false start rule, and you're out. So Lewis is out of the competition, and he also took Wayne Johnson with him.
I might point that I'll be surprised if they throw both out. Usually they allow the first person to be thrown out. The second person to come off the line prematurely stays in the competition.
So we're ready for the second try to get this second heat of the 100-meter dash. And again, we'll fill you in on the finals of that sensational 400-meter dash. And the results are a little bit surprising. The time is phenomenal. Second heat, Johnson of Texas in 2, Epps of TCU in lane 4, Young of Houston in 5, McNeil of Baylor in lane 6, Spooner of Texas in lane 7. Second of 3 heats running strictly against time in this 100-meter dash.
Epps has the best time coming in here.
That's
the
Philip
center
Epps,
of your track.
The wide receiver from TCU, who apparently has the lead. It is Philip Epps and Wayne Johnson. Philip Epps of TCU, the wide receiver, who I believe figured in an 82-yard scoring touchdown pass against the University of Texas this year. Let's take a look at it again in this second heat with Philip Epps of TCU running in lane 4 and Wayne Johnson of the University of Texas, who is almost running before the home folks. He is from Richardson, which is a suburb of Dallas.
Epps had the lead the entire way, Frank. Held it, leaned at the tape nicely, and came in. Now, we'll have to see, and he won't know until he sees what happens in the seated heat, how well he's done.
Gerald McNeil of Baylor also was in on that one. There are 2 young men, incidentally, who are sitting in the attic of a home adjacent to the Morrison Bell track, and their tickets a little bit less expensive than those folks sitting in the stands. All right, let's tell you about the finals of that 400-meter dash, which we saw a few moments ago. Absolutely sensational. 6th place went to Bill Hartson of Baylor. 6th place time was 46.58. 5th place went to Paul Jones, who won the first heat with his 46.55. 4th place went to Leslie Brooks of SMU. His time was 46.26. Then the last 3 places coming from that sensational 3rd heat. Russell Carter, the SMU freshman footballer, 3rd in 46.02. 2nd place, Leslie Kerr of Texas A&M, who had his string broken at 3 in a row, with a time of 44.9, which by itself would have been a Southwest Conference record. Finishing first was the sophomore from Baylor, Zeke Jefferson, with a time of 44.86, only 1 second off the world record, and of course, obviously, a new Southwest Conference standard. So far today, Jefferson has anchored a Baylor sprint relay team to a time of 39.10, the 5th fastest ever for a collegiate outfit, and has run a 44.86 open 400-meter dash in winning the 400 meters and breaking Leslie Kerr's 3-year scheme. This is Robert Windsor of Texas A&M up now in the shot put ring. As we get ready for the third and telling heat in this 100-meter dash.
Windsor's a 60-foot shot putter. 59.1 is his best this year. Winston is a pre-med major, straight A student. I'd like to add an addendum before we see the finals of the 100 meters or anything else. That is the fastest 2 400-meter times run in the United States this year. The best 44.86 by Zeke is the #1 time. In second place right now is the performance turned in by Leslie Kerr. Third is Bill Green of the University of Southern California, who had the nation's leading best time of 44.92 of a second. It also happened to be by Jefferson, the 5th fastest collegiate time run at sea level ever in the history of the country.
So Jefferson today has been a part of 2 fifth places, hasn't he? A 5th place sprint relay team, the best 5th best collegiate sprint relay team ever, and now the 5th best collegiate 400-meter dash.
I'd take that for today, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I believe
be 5th all time. I mean, it's not #1, but it's not too bad.
Let's look at these men in heat number 3 with Rod Richardson of Texas A&M in lane 2, a freshman from Shreveport, Louisiana.
This is going to be an interesting battle here as far as Richardson goes. With Richardson, the problem we're going to have here with Richardson is he's had pulled muscles, and he's had those pulled muscles now for several months, and they've been plaguing him. 3 times he has been down, so to speak, from injuries. David Watson from TCU. He comes in with a best time of 10 and 39.1 of a second. In lane 4, in the center of the track, the man I consider in track and field to be bionic, Carl Lewis from the University of Houston. He's run 10-1. He is outstanding in 2 and possibly 3 events should he ever turn his attention to the hurdles. Herky Walls, the great fullback, the great back for Texas in lane 5 with a best time of 10 and 35.1 of a second. He's had 3 sensational legs this year in 200-meter relays. In lane 6, Bruce Davis from Baylor, 10 and 22.1 of a second is his best. On the outside in lane 7 to the right of your screen, James Washington from Texas A&M.
Pretty good football players in here too. Herky Walls, who played 5 positions for the University of Texas, and Bruce Davis, the defensive back from Baylor. Let's see what Rod Richardson from Texas A&M can do on the inside. It looks like it's Carl Lewis of Houston out in front. It is Carl Lewis way out in front. Lewis winning by at least 5 yards over Bruce Davis of Baylor and Rod Richardson of Texas A&M. I'd say a 5-yard victory, wouldn't you, Larry?
Ooh, I don't want to be Herky Walls right now when you kind of get psyched up for facing Carl Lewis, and he just absolutely blows you right off the track. Look how smooth he is. He is the essence of talent. 6'2", 170 pounds of sheer talent. Articulate, intelligent, very together young man, excellent educationally in the classroom. What a fine product, and something that for his parents, both of whom are track coaches in Willingboro. Interestingly enough, his parents coach at the respective junior high schools in the town of Willingboro. One has one has the other, and they go head-to-head once a year.
Here's another world-class figure, Michael Carter of SMU in the shot put. Best this year of 68, 8 3/4. 6'2", 275 pounds.
Great thrust. Look at that put.
Has great speed in getting across that ring, an outstanding middle guard for the SMU football team.
The analogy I've used in watching him for a while is that it looks like he is karate punching that shot put ball. I don't know how you do that with 16 pounds in your hand, but he has great speed of movement. His hip movement is great. He breaks with the left side of his body tremendously well, and he just really gets great explosion in there. He is 10%, he has thrown the shot put, the 12-pound high school ball, 10% further than any other high schooler has ever thrown it. Imagine being the best 100-meter dash man in high school by a full second.
All right, I believe Ralph has Carl Lewis with him, so let's go to the infield for Ralph Boston.
Thanks, Frank. This is Carl Lewis, yes, and he's done quite a bit today. They gave you a little bit too much to make up on that sprint relay.
Well, we've been running fairly well, and we haven't really won since the Penn relays together. And that's our best time of the year, so we're really happy for it.
Okay, now you've completed a long jump, 27-1, and just won 100 meters. What else are you going to do today?
Well, I had the 200 meters left, and since we had the rain yesterday, I'm going to run in the slow heat. So I'm really going to have to run hard, and I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, listen, when you get a little time, you want to come over and handle this mic for me? It seems you do everything else so well.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations, Carl. We'll see you later on today.
All right, thank you.
Back up to you, gentlemen.
All right, we'll be back with the next running event, which is the 800-meter run at the scene of the 1981 Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships from Morrison Bell Track on the campus of SMU in Dallas in just a moment.
People will do almost anything to get their hands on a Major League Baseball. But here's a sure-handed way to get your own, absolutely free, with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated, the magazine that delivers baseball, from spring training to the final out of the season, including a hard-hitting baseball annual with up-to-the-minute scouting reports on every team, and on through to the World Series itself. By subscribing now, you save over 50% off the $1.50 cover price. That's only 69 cents an issue, our basic rate. Dial toll-free 800-621-8200 and get 29 issues for $19.77. And with your paid subscription, we'll rush you a free Major League Baseball. Sports Illustrated at half the cover price and a free big league ball? That's a double steal. Just dial 800-621-8200. Sports Illustrated is half the cover price. The baseball and the phone call are free.
Welcome back to the sights and sounds of the 1981 Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships from Dallas, Texas, ready for the second heat now of the 800-meter run. Running in lane 1 will be Tony Gercio of Arkansas. Lane 2, Darrell Shoemake of Texas A&M. Lane 3, Larry Johnson of Texas. Lane 4, George Collins of Texas. Lane 5, Bill Bryant of SMU. Lane 6, Rick Raymond of SMU. And lane 7, Kyle Wargo of Baylor. Remember again, as they are in all of the events, they are running against time, necessitated by the fact that the Southwest Conference preliminaries, originally scheduled a day earlier, had to be rubbed out because of the rain, and so all of the races are being run against time today. And this is the second of 3 heats in the 800-meter run. The fastest heat, as have been all of the events, expected to be the 3rd heat. And out in the lead right now for SMU is Bill Bryan. Bryan is a fine young sophomore from Lufkin, Texas, a junior actually, who ran very well as a freshman.
He's also a Dean's List student. I'm always amazed at these guys that train year-round and still turn in good academic performances.
Tony Gercio of Arkansas moving up on his shoulder and taking the lead from Bill Bryan.
Gercio, really an outstanding story. He's run 151 in high school, and a native of Chicago. He was the indoor and outdoor Illinois state champion, and he's now hanging tough in second place.
Larry Johnson of Texas is now running 3rd, and Texas A&M's Darrell Shoemake is 4th.
So we've got Bryan first, Tony Gercio from Arkansas in second place. Their runners have really been ready for this performance.
Now Larry Johnson, who is an outstanding performer in high school, he's only a freshman, and Johnson moving very well into the lead of this second heat of the 800-meter run here at Morrison Bell Track on the campus of SMU, running against time. But they will have some outstanding half-milers in that 3rd heat, so anything Johnson does will have to try to move him up as high as he can get.
He's run 149 in the past. Really a fine performer. Larry Johnson, all 5 feet 9, 130 pounds of him. He's from Dallas, Texas. He's running in front of his home folks.
Larry Johnson with Bill Bryan of SMU running in the number 2 spot, and Rick Raymond of SMU finishing number 3 in the second heat. And back up the track, finishing in the number 4 spot, was the young man from Arkansas, Tony Gercio, and Baylor's Kyle Wargo was 5th.
We had 4 runners in that event that we've just seen there, that heat, if you will, not even in the seated heat, that have run this year for 800 meters at least 1 minute 50 and 0.6 of a second. Really very fine depth here in the Southwest Conference.
That's the young man from Texas A&M, Darrell Shoemake, who went down after the completion of that second heat. I think we'll have a chance to look at where Darrell went down. He did not finish the race. It was over on the backstretch. I don't know whether he got tangled up. You can watch him. He's in 4th place right now in the maroon. Darrell Shoemake of Texas A&M, still running well. And, well, there's a case where he and Gercio trip over each other. And Gercio apparently got up and finished the race, and Shoemake unable to get up and complete the race.
I may be wrong, but it was Gercio's left leg that first went out from under him. He may have inadvertently stepped on the side of the track, the border that's running on the edge. It threw him off, and he fell and cut him off, really, is what he did to Shoemake.
Let's take a look at our team standings as of the moment. Now, 9 of the 19 events have thus been completed, so we are beyond the midway point in this 66th renewal of the Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships. Arkansas leads the meet with 59.5 points. However, they have a lead of only 2.5 points over SMU. The Mustangs, running here at home, are in second place with 57 points. Meanwhile, the University of Houston is third with 49 points. Baylor is fourth with 35.5. That is through 9 of the 19 events. The other teams, Texas A&M has 28, Texas has 24, and that's a big surprise because Texas came in as the pre-meet favorite, and here we are better than halfway through the meet, and the Longhorns are currently in 6th place. TCU 12, Rice 10, and Texas Tech has 4, and we've seen some outstanding performances this afternoon. All right, let's look at Michael Carter, Larry Rawson.
Outstanding putter, of course. I can't say enough about this young man. 81 feet in high school. Notice the curvature. Notice his movement. Great thrust. His real secret is the power that he's developed. Look at that put. He gets excellent height. He explodes across the pit beautifully. He moves his left hip and twists and gets torque into his put. He came here only being able to bench press 355 pounds. There are pole vaulters that can bench press more than Michael Carter could when he walked in here as the record holder. It just shows you what the coordination and the speed that he has across that 7-foot diameter circle with that shot put that he can carry.
Let's take a look at this field now. This is an outstanding field of half-milers. Running in lane 1, Francisco Melendez, freshman from Rice. Lane 2, Owen Hamilton of Texas. Lane 3, Jim Jeffrey of TCU. Lane 4, Randy Stevens of Arkansas, twice the indoor 800-meter champion. Sammy Koske of SMU in lane number 5. Bruce Gingrich of Rice, who is the Southwest Conference record holder, won this event 2 years ago, but last year had a broken ankle, was out of competition. And in lane 7, the defending champion, James Mays of Texas Tech. I would be surprised, Larry, if we don't see something here at 146.5 or better to win this particular heat.
Watch Southern Methodist University's in lane 5 that you'll see right there. Sam Koski, I think he has all of the talent to be an Olympic finalist in 1984 in Los Angeles for Kenya. He has tremendous ability.
He is the subject of a great deal of controversy here in the Southwest. He's had a birthday yesterday, May the 15th, and there's a question of whether he was 20 or 24. But that is Koske running on the lead as they cut to the pole, followed by SMU's Jim Jeffrey, running in the number 3 spot right now for Rice, or rather for, Rice, Bruce Gingrich. James Mays of Texas Tech, the defending champion, running 3rd. I'm sorry. So it is Koske on the lead, and James Mays, who says he's going to stay with Koske in this race.
Mays has excellent speed. He's done very well here in the past. He finished 4th in the NCAA championships last year. And if anybody has a chance to possibly run with him, it is James Mays. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Last week, out in California at the Pepsi meet, was the first defeat all year for Sam Koski. And he finished 4th. He ran 148. I think it gave everybody else in the finals facing Sam Koski in the lead a chance to feel that they have a chance to beat this man.
He just glanced over to his right shoulder, did Koski, to see where Mays is. It looks like a 2-man race. Randy Stevens of Arkansas is 3rd, but he's way back. It is Sammy Koski of SMU, the former national junior college champion at New Mexico, running on the lead with James Mays, the defending champion from Texas Tech, running right behind him. They've got 150 meters to go, and Sammy Koski of SMU and James Mays of Texas Tech, but it appears as though it'll be Sammy Koski in a walkaway.
They're running a great time. I had them in something like 117 flat for 600 meters. Mays is struggling.
Watch.
Here comes Randy Stevens.
Of Arkansas.
That's
he
right.
was the indoor champion, but it is Koski who will win it. Will it be Stevens or Mays who will finish 2nd? Koski way out in front. And what did you have on that last quarter, Larry?
I had unofficially on the whole race 1 minute 45 seconds.
Just 145, unbelievable. We've seen some times today that are just unbelievable.
You know, this is not ideal. I wish to add that I would say that many of the times today in the 100 meters may prove to be slightly wind-aided. Not sure. I mean, you've got a breeze to contend with in that back stretch, and they're running exceptional fine times.
Larry Johnson, incidentally, in that second heat, won with a time of 150.49, which in itself would have won many, many Southwest Conference races, but I venture to say that probably it will not get him any better than maybe 6th place here today, as we have seen Sam Koski defeat, I believe, in 2nd place, I believe that it probably eventually was Randy Stevens of Arkansas, with James Mays of Texas Tech finishing 3rd. Ralph Boston, a former Olympic champion in the long jump, a world-class performer himself, with another world-class performer on the infield, shot putter Michael Carter. Ralph?
Thank you, Frank, and he was world-class today. Mike, you win 2 events today. You came through on way down in the discus with 192 feet, right? And then you went ahead and won the shot put. That's got to be a little bit touchy to do both of them in one day in the shortest span of time as you had today.
Yeah, too, but I'm kind of used to it by now, but I just couldn't get psyched up for this because the competition, second place was 63, and it was this PR, and I just need the big guys here so I can get fired up for it.
Well, I think SMU is glad you won. You scored, 18 big points for them. That's going to help you guys toward that team title. Congratulations, man. Good job. Look for good things from you. Back to you, gentlemen.
There's the 6'2", 275-pound Michael Carter exploding across the ring and winning the shot put today. And SMU, of course, running very well here at home at their Morrison Bell track, a facility, incidentally, which is only in its 3rd year here at SMU. And Ted McLaughlin, the 2nd-year track coach at SMU, who has put a great deal of emphasis on the program, has had a great deal to do with the fact that SMU's ascendancy in track and field has come a long way in a hurry. All right, we're going to be back with more of the 1981 Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships for Morrison Bell Track on the campus of SMU in Dallas, Texas, in just a moment.
Michelob brings you the 7-day weekend, California style. In California, they don't follow trends, they set them. So people out here don't wait for the weekend to have a Michelob. They enjoy that smooth and mellow Michelob taste whenever and wherever they please.
Put a little weekend in your week.
Yeah.
ESPN serves up a winner. NCAA Division I singles and doubles tennis finals. Defending national champ Stanford, the alma mater of John McEnroe, will be trying to capture their 6th team title in the past 9 years. ESPN brings you all the serves and volleys Monday at 8:30 Eastern Time. Find out which NCAA Division I team will be giving the high fives Monday. That's on ESPN.
Hi, guys.
Well, you're back with us on a rather cool, blustery day at Morrison Bell Track on the campus of SMU in Dallas, Texas, with a temperature in the upper 50s, most unseasonable in Texas in mid-May. We're about ready to look at the second of 3 heats in the 400-meter hurdles, and we'll set them for you, and then we'll give you the results in just a moment of the finals of that 800-meter run, which was a sensational one and resulted in a time that is just almost unbelievable, as we've had many of them here today. Heat number 2, 400-meter hurdles. Running in lane 2 will be Dean Crowell of Texas Tech. Running in lane 3, Craig Moody of Texas A&M. Johnny Polk of TCU will be in lane 4. Rich Thomas of Texas A&M in lane 5. James Wheatfall of the University of Texas in lane 6. And Charles Campbell of SMU in lane 7. Larry Rawson is with me, and Larry has had a chance to research something that I think you want to know about in the area of the 100-meter dash run by Carl Lewis, a time of 10 seconds flat. And Larry, we've learned some very interesting things about that race.
Well, I knew the world record was James Hines' set in 1968. What we have to add is that was done at 7,533 feet, which is the altitude of Mexico City. That was done in the 1968 Olympic Games. The second fastest time was also done in Mexico City in 1977 by Cuba's outstanding athlete Silvio Leonard. Now, nobody else has ever broken 10 seconds, even at altitude, which everybody admits is a big aid to you. That is the fastest time. Carl Lewis's 100 meters was the fastest time ever run anywhere in the world at sea level for 100 meters. Now, remember, this man considers himself a long jumper. He has the 3rd fastest 60-yard dash time ever run in history as well. That's an often run event, Frank. This is why I say he combines so many of the accoutrements necessary to be a
There's Carl Lewis right there, just coming across our screen.
Yes, we talk about
USA on there.
Well, 100 meters today, the race that you saw by Lewis, it wasn't that Herky Walls was running slowly, who is an exceptional athlete himself at 100 meters, and also Bruce Davis and other people who have run 10 and 20 hundredths of a second. It's just that he was so superior that he beat everybody by over 3 to 4 yards. Just an amazing performance here, and I just would like to tip our hat on behalf of us to Carl Lewis and what he is going to offer for us. He's just a He's got several more years at Houston. And Stanley Floyd, who is probably, up until today, has been America's best 100-meter man, will join him next year at the University of Houston.
And we heard also that just 24 hours ago, a young man that Tom Tellez, the University of Houston track coach, has signed to a letter of intent at the University of Houston. Anthony Ketchum of Needville, Texas, ran a 45.5 in winning the Texas Class 4A 400-meter dash. And that's Randy Hall of Texas A&M.
Tom Tellez has a lot to look for at Houston next year. Here's the defending NCAA champion, last year's champion. He's gone 18 feet 2 inches, competed in our U.S. Olympic trials, did not make the team, but he has been a threat every time he grabs the pole here in the last year and a half. One of the very few American collegians over 18 feet, his best coming into the competition, 17 feet 8 inches.
And he has joined Todd Harbor of Baylor now as a 4-time winner. He has won 4 consecutive Southwest Conference championships. He's already won the event. He is now simply vaulting by himself.
Paul is a great athlete. I would like to acknowledge the particular talent that pole vaulters have. They are very strong. They usually run down the runway at a pace of about 10.5 for the 100 and carry a pole to do it. Their bodies are able to absorb the shock that they put when they plant that pole. They have to have great gymnastic ability in order to be tremendously successful in hitting heights of 18 feet. They really have to combine all of the assets necessary for a unique event that pole vaulting is. You know, the first pole vaulting event, they rode up on bamboo poles over 100 years ago over in England. And it was an event that people didn't want to contest, and only the hardy or foolhardy would try that, Frank, because they'd go 13 feet and then land on very hard surfaces.
Randy Hall, who I believe is attempting 17.2. Rather interesting, too, Larry, that both he and Todd Harbor, the other 4-time winner, are from the Texas Gulf Coast area. Randy Hall here is from Port Lavaca, and Port Isabel is Todd Harbor's hometown, both down along the Texas border.
If I remember correctly, he was an outstanding high school quarterback.
All right, let's take a look at this second heat now. In this 400-meter hurdles, Dean Crowell of Texas Tech is in lane 2, Craig Moody of Texas A&M in lane 3, Johnny Polk of TCU in lane 4, Rick Thomas of Texas A&M in lane 5, James Sweetfall of Texas in lane 6, who appears to be the early leader, and Charles Campbell of SMU out in lane 7. Those are the men in this second heat running against time in the 400-meter intermediate hurdles. And it would appear that Wheatfall and Charles Campbell of SMU, and now from Texas A&M's Rich Thomas coming up in lane number 5.
Very important for these runners to run more of an even pace than even a 400 meters on the flat. When you tire in this event, it gets very difficult to lift those legs over. Here they come right by us.
It is Rich Thomas of Texas A&M, James Wheatfall of Texas, and Charles Campbell of SMU in that order. Although a little bit of a stumble there at the last, but still it appears to be Thomas of A&M, Wheatfall of Texas, Campbell of SMU, finishing first, second, and third in the second heat of the 400-meter intermediate hurdles. I do want to, for any of our viewers that were wondering about the results of both that 100 meters and the 800-meter run, let me give you the official results of the, first of all, the 100 meters as you watch Randy Hall go for 17.2 here in the pole vault. Finishing in 6th place in that 100-meter dash, Hall missing at 17.2, a tie between David Walker with a time of 10.58 and Wayne Johnson of the University of Texas. 5th place went to Gerald McNeil of Baylor, 10.57. 4th place, Philip Epps of TCU, 10.52. 3rd place, Bruce Davis of Baylor, 10.42. 2nd place, Rod Richardson of Texas A&M, 10.37. And 1st place to Carl Lewis, the aforementioned 10 flat, the fastest ever by a collegian, and all of the other things that Larry told you about that 10 flat time in the 100-meter dash.
The one thing I'd like to add about Randy, who we saw there's vault there, the one mistake he sometimes makes, let's watch him go down the runway here. He's got good speed. He tends sometimes not to plant his pole in a straight perpendicular fashion, but out to the side. There's the plant. Notice the lift, the rock back motion. The legs come up. They should be together. He's now going off to the left side. He hits the bar with his leg. If you notice, you have to start compensating. If you don't vault straight up, you have to start compensating with your legs for balance. And he took it off with his left leg as soon as he twisted over the bar.
All right, we're about set for the 3rd and final heat, and this will be the telltale one in that 400-meter hurdles. You've got in lane 2, Billy Bush of Texas A&M. Running in lane 3 will be Bart Daniel of Texas A&M. Lane 4, Greg Roll of Texas Tech. Lane 5, Reggie Garner of the University of Texas. Lane 6, Paul Montgomery of Baylor, who has the fastest time of 50.27. Now let's see, is Carl Smith actually going to be running or not? He was injured in that 110-meter hurdle heat, And I can't tell from my vantage point whether Carl is out there in lane 7 or not. Ralph Boston is up there in that area. Ralph, is Carl Smith actually in lane 7?
No, he's not. He's scratched. He is officially scratched. As we thought in the 110-meter hurdles, he was hurt pretty badly, and he's not even on the track now.
All right, thank you, Ralph. So it will be Bush and Daniel of A&M in lanes 2 and 3, Roll of Texas Tech in lane 4, Garner of Texas in lane 5, Montgomery of Baylor in lane 6. Montgomery, incidentally, has an identical twin, Rob Montgomery, who is a Texas A&M pole vaulter, and I'm sure got some points in the pole vault. And we're off and running in the third and final heat in the 400-yard intermediate hurdles. Paul Montgomery of Baylor on the lead.
Frank, excuse me, Montgomery has the best time coming in at 50 and 27/100ths of a second. You're looking out there in the far lane at Montgomery as he clears the hurdles. It's his twin brother, Rob. He had to mince his steps there. I'm sure he lost a little momentum.
Montgomery had to overcome a bone disease last year, a very serious bone disease, and is running very well. And Texas A&M with Bart Daniel on the inside and Billy Bush out in lane number 3. So it is now in lane number 3, Texas A&M's Bart Daniel. This would be a big surprise. Bart Daniel and Billy Bush, Garner, and Montgomery is running 4th. Now let's see if Montgomery closes. He comes over the last hurdle. It's going to be a sprint to the finish with Bart McDaniel, and I believe Reggie Garner of Texas won it. It looks as though Reggie Garner of Texas won it, with Bart Daniel of Texas A&M second, and the favorite Paul Montgomery, for the second consecutive year, finishes 3rd.
This is a very difficult event. Very few of us have ever had a chance to try and do this, but it really, your legs are very shot afterwards. I've tried this event once, and it was quite a sensation. Life is a series of experiences anyway, Frank, so I tried this once.
Here's the last 110 yards.
Fatigue has already set in with Bart Daniel, who had the lead, and he knocked over his last 4 hurdles. Watch, he'll knock over the next one. He still has the lead, but the rest of the field is moving on him. He minced his steps. Look at, he's slowed way down. He's really loses the lead right there. 3 people went by him on that hurdle. You'll notice Billy Bush accelerating, using his arms. Here comes, peeking a look over his shoulder, Reggie Garner. It looks like Garner.
Garner, Daniel, and Paul Montgomery. In the second heat, Rick Thomas ran a 52.05, but I don't think that is going to probably figure. Now then, the young man that we mentioned earlier, we've never been able to give you the official results, but before I throw it to Ralph Boston on the infield to talk to Sammy Koske, Ralph, you need to know that Sammy ran a 1:45.32. which, of course, blasts the Southwest Conference record by over 2 seconds and would have been good enough to win the NCAA last year. Let's go to Ralph Boston with Sammy Koske.
And we're pretty sure about Sam's time. He had talked about it, and we've been standing here talking. Jumbo, Sammy. How are you? 1:45.32. That'll make a few people in the world sit up and take note.
No, I don't think so.
Why don't you feel that? It's a great time.
No, I don't think it's a great time. Well, maybe it is for now, but I'm still a newcomer in this kind of
Well, you
event.
went out at something like, what, 49.5 or right at 50 seconds for the first 400 meters?
Yeah.
That's going pretty hard. Is that, if you're going to run a great time, is it going to have to be something with a lead pace like that?
Well, but not as fast as that. It would be something to do with 51, back-to-back 51.
Yeah, I can remember when Juan Torino broke the world's record in Montreal, he went out in something like 51.8, right at 52, and then came back with a good strong one. Is Sam Koske able to, in the not-too-distant future, to handle that kind of pace?
Yeah, I think so. It won't be long before I run that.
Yeah, as I said when you first walked up, I think Mike Boyd is going to sit up and take note of you, brother. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, he knows actually.
Okay.
Hey, Ralph.
I respect Mike.
Ralph Boston.
Ralph, before you let Sammy get away,
Sammy got a question coming
ask him
in.
about that birthday yesterday. Was he 20 or 24?
Would you repeat the question, please, Larry? I can't hear you.
If Sam was 20 or 24 yesterday.
Sam, the question is, your birthday was yesterday. Were you 20 or 24?
I'm 20.
He's 20. He's 20 years old, gentlemen, and you heard it from the horse's mouth. The horse, of course, being Sam Koske. Good race, Sammy. Congratulations. Back up to you, gentlemen.
Just like that, an addendum to that interview, that's the second fastest time in the United States for 800 meters this year in an open race, 1:45 and 32/100ths of a second.
Well, we want to tell you again that this is being run today. The Southwest Conference meet is being run in some very unusual circumstances. We had heavy rains here in Dallas all day yesterday. Thus, the preliminary rounds, which we would normally have had on Friday, were all washed out. So the decision was made, rather than hold preliminaries early Saturday morning and the finals again on Saturday afternoon, we could not run at night because there are no lights here at Morrisonville, that for the first time ever, the Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships, in all events where there were enough entrants to require it, would be run in heats. So that's why we are repeatedly showing you the first, second, and third heats in these various events. That's the way the meet is being conducted. We'll be back with more from the 1981 Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships from the Morrison Bell Track on the campus of Southern Methodist University in Dallas in just a moment.
ESPN is your ticket to the College World Series. Your Total Sports Network caps a great season of NCAA baseball with comprehensive live coverage of the nation's top teams going head-to-head. Beginning Tuesday, June 2nd, return with ESPN to Omaha, Nebraska to see who duplicates the Arizona Wildcats' thrilling come-from-behind drive to last year's national championship. The best in NCAA baseball. The 1981 College World Series beginning June 2nd, live on ESPN.
It's a memorable Night of Champions Memorial Day on ESPN. On This Week in the NHL, Tom Mees looks at the main reasons the Islanders have captured back-to-back Stanley Cups. Then top NCAA tennis teams try to steal the crown Stanford has worn 5 times in the past 8 years in the Division I finals. Following SportsCenter, West Coast track and field fans get a primetime look at the Pac-10 championships. Enjoy a holiday of sports Monday on ESPN.
Back to the Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships, and we're ready to look at heat number 1 of the 200-meter dash. We'll tell you the contestants, then I'll ask Larry Rawson to tell you why they're running in the first heat. Lane 2, the incomparable Carl Lewis of the University of Houston. Lane 3, Herky Walls of Texas. Lane 4, Devin Lewis of Houston. Lane 5, Larry Brown of Houston. Lane 6, Charles Young of Houston. Lane 7, Brian Savage of Baylor. And Larry, why are Carl Lewis and Herky Walls running in the first, or supposedly the slowest heat?
They have not had an open time at 200 meters yet this year. They've been running relay legs. They've been maybe running the 100 meters, but they have not run 200 meters. And this, in some ways, could be as good an event as Carl has, I think, Carl Lewis. If he has a slight disadvantage in this race, it's running in lane 2. In our U.S. Olympic trials, no runner in any trial, semifinal, or final in lane 1 finished better than 5th. Guns up.
Carl Lewis should have an outstanding performance in this 200-meter dash. He could be authoring one of the greatest days in track and field. He's already run the 110 flat and his long jump 27 feet 1. Carl Lewis in lane 2 has already made up the stagger on the turn, and he's running against Herky Walls. It is Carl Lewis who's blazing out in front. That is Lewis in front. Herky Walls is running second, but it is nobody's race except Carl Lewis of the University of Houston, winning by 7 yards over Herky Walls of the University of Texas.
I can't wait to see that time. That was a fabulous race. He ran the turn beautifully. Actually, Walls, I thought, got out more quickly in the first 60 meters into the turn, into the wind. The last, maybe 140 yards, the runners had a wind either at their back or at a crosswind to help them. And Lewis, once he gets on track, those legs get rolling, nothing stops him.
Remember, that young man won't be 20 years old until July.
Well, he is America's premier athlete right now, in my opinion, in track and field, as far as the young core coming up. It's amazing a senior like Leslie Carr has to give way to the youth movement and lose to a sophomore in Zeke Jefferson. So this is a young man who's only a sophomore here that you're looking at, Carl Lewis, and this may complete what might be the finest triple ever run in track and field history in the United States.
You know, Jesse Owens, I think, was the last collegian to win both a field and a track event at the NCAAs, and of course Carl Lewis now has to be a distinct threat to do that in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the first week in June.
It wouldn't surprise me, gentlemen, if Carl Lewis came back from LSU with 30 points. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they'd allow him to run the 200.
And of course he had 30.5 last year, Ralph, and was the high point man of the meet as a freshman.
And Larry, I'd have to take just not offense, but I'd have to disagree with you a little bit. He is one of the premier. I'd say, in my mind, Carl Lewis right now is a premier track and field athlete in the United States, maybe even in the world.
Well, yeah, maybe I didn't hype him enough, Ralph, but, you know, I don't want to draw quick parallels, but Jesse Owens set world records on one occasion at a conference meet similar to this. I don't know how well he ran his 200 meters, but 10 flat and 27.1 and a half, that we have gotten confirmation was a legal jump. It was not wind aided. That's a great performance in itself, and that was a fast time. That was a great time. I don't know yet what it will be.
Owens ran 20.6 on his 200 at Ann Arbor that year, but he long jumped 26.8 3/4, 26.8 1/4, and ran what was it, 9.4,
9.3. I think it was 9.4. Yes, you're right.
And 22.6 on the 200 meter.
20.6. Should say that is Carl Lewis there, number 923, walking across the track with James Mays, the outstanding half-miler from Texas Tech, who joined him as Lewis completes a slow walk around the remainder of the track. All right. The College Baseball World Series, certainly one of the outstanding events in all of collegiate sports, comes up at Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska, June the 2nd through June the 6th. And again, ESPN, in keeping with its policy of bringing you the outstanding sporting events in the nation, will be there for all 4 days of the action as college baseball crowns its champion in 1981. So be sure to join us right here on your Total Sports Network, ESPN, for the College Baseball World Series from Omaha, Nebraska, Tuesday, June 2nd through Saturday, June the 6th. Well, we're about ready for the second heat now, this 200-meter dash. And let's set the field for you there. Art Allen of Houston running in lane 2. Gary Roberson of Texas in lane 3. Terry Jones of Rice is in lane 4. Darrell Daniel of Baylor in lane 5. John Cossey of Houston in lane 6. And Robert Record of TCU in lane 7. And I guess, Larry, it'll be hard for these other 2 heats to be anything other than anticlimax after seeing Carl Lewis run.
Well, despite being anticlimactic, these runners have run between 21-2, and the slowest is 21-8. Guns up, they're off.
Art Allen of Houston in 2. Gary Roberson of Texas, who's running pretty much before the home crowd. He is from Terrell, Texas. Would probably be my choice as to perhaps win this heat. Darrell Daniel of Baylor running out in lane 5, but it is Gary Roberson of the University of Texas in lane 3, a young man from Terrell, Texas, who is the easy winner of heat number 2 and came off the turn very well, Larry.
It was a fine performance. He actually wasn't the first out of the blocks. Art Allen had about a step and a half on everybody at 30 meters, and then really Gary began to get rolling there, and he had the fastest time coming into that heat of 21-2, so it probably is a likely conclusion that justice was served there.
I think perhaps as you look at Gary Roberson, it'll give us a chance now to update the team totals. And SMU, running here at home, has now taken the lead. This includes the 400-meter hurdles and the pole vault. So I believe that would be 13 of our 19 events. Let's give you the team totals. SMU has now taken the lead with 82 points. Arkansas is second with 78. The University of Houston is third with 74. In fourth place is Baylor with 56.5. The pre-meet favorite, well, wait a minute, Texas A&M has 107 3/4. Is that right? They won 24 points in the pole vault and 13 in the hurdles. So let me amend what I said. A&M is the leader with 107 3/4 points. The defending champions from Texas A&M. So SMU is second with 82, Arkansas third with 78, Houston is fourth with 74, Baylor is fifth with 56.5. The pre-meet favorite Texas is sixth with 47.5. The other point totals show 20.5 for TCU, 18 for Rice, and 12 for Texas Tech. So A&M, with 24 points in the pole vault and 13 in the hurdles, have come from way back and now lead SMU by 25 3/4 points, 107 3/4 to 82 for the defending champion.
Can I add a little lightness? On the Johnny Carson show, Ed McMahon might say something like A&M just vaulted into the lead and then get booed off the stage.
Well, literally they did.
I know they did. They vaulted into the lead thanks to Randy Hall and company.
You know, normally, Larry, I might say for our viewers around the country in Texas in mid-May, we'd be showing them blue, sunshiny skies, and we'd be talking about mid-90-degree temperatures, but it's been an unseasonably cool May here in the state of Texas, and yesterday, when that cool front came through and dropped a couple of inches of rain and necessitated the change in the format, our temperature dropped down, and we started the day off with a temperature, I think, in the upper 50s, perhaps no more than 60 degrees, and it hasn't gotten any warmer.
No, this, I've heard all about the Texas heat. I'm an Easterner, Frank, and all I hear about is your cold weather, and you come down here, and I left 70-degree temperatures up in the New York, New England area.
Well, I'll tell you what, we had 70 consecutive days last year of temperatures of 100 degrees or more, so if you want some hot weather, come on back in July and August, and we'll have it for you.
You just bake down here, don't you?
There's the skyline of Dallas, Texas. The backdrop to this 66th annual Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships for Morrison Bell Track in Dallas. My name is Frank Fallon. I'm working along with Larry Rawson and Ralph Boston. Larry, of course, is the voice of the Boston Marathon, ESPN's track and field expert, and actually a competitor himself on the international level a few years ago. Ralph Boston needs no introduction to track and field aficionados around the country. The 1960 gold medalist in the long jump in the Olympics, won the silver medal in 1964 and the bronze medal in 1968. Well, we're about to go on to the third and final heat in this 200-meter dash. Do we have Carl Lewis's time? 20.73. 20.73. All right, let's set the lanes. Bruce Davis of Baylor, the freshman, running in lane 2. Wayne Johnson of Texas in lane 3. Arthur McCullough, the Baylor freshman, in lane 4. David Walker of TCU in lane 5. Philip Epps of TCU in lane 6. And James Washington of Texas A&M in 7. And the recall starter has called him back, so that'll give you a chance, Larry, to talk a little bit about that first heat. Carl Lewis running a, what was that time? 20
and 73/100ths of a second, Frank. Very good time. Excellent time. Not quite as fast as I thought it was, and I was basing it on the backstretch and how he kind of picked up and pulled away from a class field, including Herky Walls. I actually thought it would be around something like 20 and 40/100ths of a second on that order. But maybe the wind, as they had to run directly into the teeth of it for about 50 or 60 meters, took its toll, just in tenths.
Larry, you're absolutely right, because as you go, right now I'm standing down at the start, and as you go around the turn, they're going to run directly into the teeth of that wind, and it's going to be from say 10 yards out of the start until just before you go into the straightaway. So it took its toll, I'm sure.
That young man on your screen a moment ago was Arthur McCullough, the Baylor freshman, and he apparently was scratched in lane 4. Apparently for a false start. I cannot see from this vantage point, Ralph, is lane 4 unoccupied?
Yes, you called it exactly right, Frank. That's who was accredited with the false start, and so he's standing out and watching this race.
There is a shot of Carl Lewis on the infield being interviewed by Jerry Wizig, a writer from the Houston Post. Lewis, of course, just what else can we say about his day? All right, it's Davis of Baylor in 2, Johnson of Texas in 3, Walker of TCU in 5, Epps of TCU in 6, Washington of A&M in lane 7. McCullough of Baylor in lane 4 had scratched. False start victim. Third and final heat, 200 meters. Running at a 20.74 by Carl Lewis. That is TCU's Philip Epps, who comes off the turn into the lead. But running strong is James Washington of Texas A&M. And Bruce Davis of Baylor coming on the inside, but it's still Washington of Texas A&M. James Washington of Texas A&M, the winner, with Philip Epps of TCU finishing second in the third heat of the 200-meter dash.
Well, gentlemen, I was doing a little bit of hand timing myself on my my little Mickey Mouse watch, and I found that according to what I had, they ran a little bit slower than Carl Lewis's heat, and that was with hand time, so it would make it a little bit slower if what I've got is correct.
So Lewis then will wind up, obviously, the winner of 3 events and ran as the anchor man on the second place sprint relay team. So Lewis will have, what, 32, and there's the last part of this last 200-meter dash with Washington winning it.
Washington pulling away. His best time had been 20 and 98/100ths of a second. His time evidently could be construed as around 21 seconds. We'll see, as he edged Philip Epps, who had a much better time coming into that heat than did James Washington.
All right, I believe I figured it out. Carl Lewis should have scored 32 points, right? 3 firsts and part of a second-place relay team would give him 32 points for the day. We'll be back with more from the 1981 Southwest Conference Track and Field Championships on the campus of Southern Methodist University in Dallas in just a moment.
When the costs of home improvements get out of hand, fight back. Become a handyman. The Family Handyman is the essential magazine that shows you how to save time and money with detailed plans and easy steps to do it yourself, right down to the measurements and the trim. Put a roof over your head, insulate that attic, even add another room. With Family Handyman, you can do it all. Inside, outside, all around. It's the Everything You Need to Know magazine for do-it-yourself homeowners. It shows you how to make ends meet beautifully. The savings begin with 33% off the newsstand price. That's only $9.95 for 10 issues. Here's how to order.
Call now toll-free, 1-800-453-9000 to get the next 10 money-saving issues of the Family Handyman. That number is 1-800-453-9000. Call now, 1-800-453-9000.
In search of gold, top-ranked boxing gold. He'll take on Mario Chavez in Las Vegas Thursday on ESPN. Roach, who won in a rugged bout in his first ESPN appearance in February, is a vicious puncher with a record of 23 wins and only 1 loss. Sal Marciano and Sean O'Grady call the action on live top-ranked boxing from Las Vegas. That's Thursday on your Total Sports Network.
Well, the climactic moment of any Conference Track and Field Championship is the 1,600 meter, or perhaps you know it better as the mile relay event. And this one should be an outstanding one. In lane 1, the University of Houston with a best time of 3:07.65. Lane 2, Texas A&M 3:06.31. Lane 3, Baylor with a 3:05.39. Lane 4, SMU 3:06.30. Lane 5, Arkansas 3:04.63. Lane 6, Texas 3:06.79. Lane 7, Texas Tech, and Lane 8, TCU with a 3:06.15. A collection of the outstanding quarter milers in the Southwest Conference. You'll see such outstanding performers as Larry Kerr of Texas A&M, Zeke Jefferson of Baylor, Sammy Koske of SMU, Stanley Redwine of Arkansas, Greg Watson of the University of Texas. All of those will be in this 1,600 meter relay.
Last year in 1980, 20 collegiate teams ducked under 3 minutes, 7 6/10 of a second. And 7 of the 8 teams here have already done that this year.
An unbelievable group for the climactic moment of the 1981 Southwest Conference Track and Field Championship, which has already produced some absolutely unbelievable performances. Houston will be led off by Ricky Props in lane 1. Larry Kerr of Texas A&M in lane 2. Bill Hartson leading off for Baylor in lane 3. Leslie Brooks of SMU in lane 4. Paul Jones of Arkansas in lane 5. Greg Watson of Texas in lane 6. Texas Tech in lane 7. TCU in lane 8. And it appears as though the University of Texas has taken the early lead.
It's Greg Watson out there. It's early, but he's running well.
Sigurdsson. I'm sorry, I called it wrong. It's Odard Sigurdsson of the University of Texas on the lead.
Sigurdsson with about a 2-yard lead. TCU hanging tough. Jim Jeffrey.
Now Bill Hartson closing strongly for Baylor. They're running, of course, in their lanes all the way on this first lap, so it's actually who touches off first.
Look at how even they are.
Boy, I tell you, SMU and Baylor were very, very close together, along with Texas.
Unofficially 46-4 for about 4 leadoff legs on that first exchange.
Richard Sweet of SMU is now currently on the lead, and that is Arkansas with Kerwin Washington taking the lead. It is SMU and Arkansas, TCU, Baylor with Bobby Burkhalter running fourth, but the battle is between Richard Sweet of SMU and Arkansas's Kerwin Washington. Here they come with 150 meters to go. Second leg of the 1,600 meter relay. This is SMU with Richard Sweet, Washington of Arkansas, and now Bobby Burkhalter closing strong for Baylor. What a battle between SMU, Arkansas, and Baylor up front, with TCU not far behind. Now we'll go to the number 3 man, and it is Sammy Koske running for SMU. Koske running for SMU. For Arkansas, it is Pat Mitchell, and for Baylor, it is Arthur McCullough. And this should be an unbelievable finish. That is Sammy Koske. But look at Pat Mitchell of Arkansas. Mitchell of Arkansas has taken the lead from Koske of SMU, and they foul up running against each other. There may be a foul over there. And Baylor running third with Arthur McCullough taking advantage to move up. But Sammy Koske now on the move. Look at this Koske go.
800-meter runners usually take over 400-meter runners in the last half of the race, just as Koske pulled away there.
Sammy Koske with Arthur McCullough of Baylor battling Pat Mitchell of Arkansas. We're going to the anchor leg. The anchor leg, and for SMU, that means Russell Carter running the anchor, running here at home, running against Baylor's Zeke Jefferson and Leslie Kerr of Texas A&M and Stanley Redwine of Arkansas. It is Zeke Jefferson, but way out in front is SMU. They'll never catch Carter, I don't believe. Russell Carter of SMU, Zeke Jefferson of Baylor, but it is what happened to Jefferson? I don't know where the Baylor team is. They have fallen off the track. So apparently Jefferson is out of the race. So it's going to be SMU to win the mile relay by a long shot. This is Russell Carter, the outstanding football player, the freshman from Philadelphia. And SMU will win it by 30 yards over Arkansas, with Leslie Kerr finishing third for Texas A&M. TCU fourth, Texas is fifth, and Houston is sixth, and Baylor did not finish the race. So the SMU Mustangs, a quartet of Leslie Brooks, Richard Sweet, Sammy Koske, and Russell Carter have upset the field here, running the final event on their home track here at Morrison Bell Track. What a windup.
What a great time. Last year's NCAA winner was Tennessee in 3 minutes 3 and 94/100ths of a second. And my guess is that that time's very close to what Tennessee ran to win the NCAAs last year. But a great performance, and our congratulations to SMU. It's too bad Baylor dropped that baton off how well they've performed.
Is that what happened, Larry? I never did find out.
I think the baton was dropped. I looked down to just check my time, and I looked back up again. He was gone. I checked over the far corner of the track, and he was reaching back and had stopped running, and he was reaching down to the track. I don't know whether he pulled a muscle and then threw the baton in disgust, or whether he dropped the baton and then had to go back for it.
Well, it was a great victory for SMU. Look at Sammy Koske on his leg. Koske really broke it open for him, Larry.
I had him at 45 point and maybe close to 45 flat for this great athlete and
I wonder if we
talent
may
from
have
Kenya.
some sort of a disqualification. Those two runners did run together. I don't know if there's a flag up in any area. I didn't look to see, but it could be that we might have a question on that final exchange. Yes, Ralph?
I'm trying to find the runners who were involved in it, and I can't seem to find anybody.
I think it was Koske of SMU and Pat Mitchell of Arkansas.
Yeah, I tried to find them, and I tried to find Redwine on the anchor because he and Jefferson seemed to tangle up a little bit.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, but I think I don't really know what happened. I know some feet got kicked, but I don't know if that's root grounds for disqualification. It didn't look like it was blatant, and it was purely accidental, and it's all up in the air now.
Okay, Ralph. I think we can look at it one more time over on the far side as Koske and Pat Mitchell of Arkansas tangled up.
Right there, he caught his left leg. That was Sam Koske that initiated it with his right leg. He got it right up on Mitchell's back and then tried to move around him belatedly. And it was the arc kick of Mitchell which caught the side leg that we were just able to see there. And I hope they don't disqualify SMU for that.
And I think Koske might have gotten spiked in that exchange because as he passed the baton away, he came out looking at the palm of his hand, which means to me that he might have caught a couple of spikes in the palm of his hand.
Well, it was a great windup, and of course Koske's leg is what broke it open for SMU. He got the baton, and when he handed it off to anchorman Russell Carter, SMU had at least a 15 or 20-yard lead. And
we have an unofficial
Texas
time
A&M now celebrating the fact that they have repeated and have won their 15th Southwest Conference championships. What do we get as a total unofficial time on that?
Unofficial time, 3 minutes, 3 and 4/10 of 1 second.
Larry?
Yes.
I've got red wine here. Now, what happened on that? What happened with the feet and all of that? What went wrong?
Well, going into the curve, Zeke was on the outside, and he was beginning to pass, so I speeded up, and then he cut in too early.
And so, has anybody lodged a protest? Will there be a protest lodged, and will Baylor ask for you guys to be disqualified?
No, I feel if anybody should be disqualified, it would probably be Baylor because they did cut in early.
They cut in too soon. You're not hurt, are you?
I got spiked a little bit, but I'm okay.
Your pride's hurt, though, huh? Because
Yes.
you really wanted to win this.
Ralph?
You've got time. Yes, Larry?
You might tell Redwine the official time is 3:03.52.
Well, they ran 3:03.52, so, that's not too bad. Okay, go get your stuff on and get your spike wounds taken care of. Gentlemen, you've got it.
Thank you, Ralph. 3:03.52, which would be better than the NCAA winner last year, Tennessee winning it in 3:03.94. A 3:03.52, which is the fastest ever in the Southwest Conference, and just another in a long series of records which were set today at the Morrison Bell track. We'll be back in just a moment.
Steve, a little one-on-one. I ought to do some yard work. Or a Michelob Light. I don't have to do any yard work.
Would good friends really go at it this hard just for a beer? Well, consider it's Michelob Light. And that means a rich, smooth taste you can compare to any beer you like.
102 to 98. How did you do it? Defense?
Michelob Light. Compare the taste.
Dial-it has national sports news. It's new, it's rational just to call National Sports for all the latest reports. We're talking national sports news. We've got it all. 900. What a wonderful call. 900-976-1313. 900-976-1313. Dial it. We're talking to you.
Back at the Southwest Conference Track and Field meet, the scene, the Morrison Bell track on the campus of Southern Methodist University. Frank Fallon along with Larry Rawson and Ralph Boston, and we're going to show you the results of the individual events as they transpired here today. In the javelin, the event was won by Collins of the University of Houston with a throw of 227 feet 10 inches. Lamb of Texas A&M finished second, 225-1, and Fred Streck of TCU was third with a throw of 215 feet 1 inch.
In the triple jump, it was Keith Connor, the British Olympian, who had the fourth longest jump last year and finished fourth in the Olympics with 52 feet 5/10 of 1 inch, winning the triple jump here today. Keith Gilreath, last year's winner from Houston, who was second in 50 feet 3 1/4 inches, and Jimmy Howard, the high jumper, took third in 49 feet 2 1/4 inches.
Then there's a 10,000-meter race where Freilich of Rice won at 29 minutes, 33 0.30 of a second. Then Vaughn of Arkansas was second, 29:37.33, and Rayner of Arkansas, 29:54 56
And continuing the final results of the Southwest Conference Track and Field meet in the discus, Scott Lofquist of Arkansas, the 6'7", 275-pounder with a throw of 193 feet 7 inches. The heralded Michael Carter of SMU was second, 192.9, and Anders Hoff of SMU finishing third with a throw of 188 feet 1 inch.
In the pole vault, Randy Hall, defending NCAA 1980 champion, 16 feet 4 inches as the wind played havoc with these athletes as it came from their back all day. Rob Montgomery from Texas A&M, fellow teammate, lost on the fewer misses that Hall had. Paul Bratloff from Rice, whose dad won this event 15 years ago, finished third in 16 feet 1/4 of an inch.
Then in the event I know nothing about, of course, Carl Lewis won it from the University of Houston. That is the long jump, 27 feet 3/4 of an inch. And Hector of A&M, Texas A&M, was second, 25 feet 1 1/4. And Washington, also from a man from Aggieland, 25 feet 3/4 of an inch, was third.
And the Southwest Conference results, as you look at Michael Carter in the background, the high jump, won by James Howard of Texas A&M, the Olympian, setting a new conference record, 7 feet 4 1/4 inches. Garland Colson of Baylor was second, 6'10". Tony Castile of Arkansas finishing third, Colson getting second place on the basis of fewer misses.
In the 400-meter relay, it was Baylor, running a time of 39 10/100 of a second to be the 5th fastest collegiate time over that 4x100-meter distance. Houston Cougars took second in 39 33/100 of a second. It was the Longhorns third in 39 48/100 of a second.
Then came the 1,500 meter, and Todd Harbour won it from Baylor. His time, 3 minutes 45 600 of a second. He's now a 4-time 1,500 meter champion in the Southwest Conference. And Taylor of Arkansas was second, 3:46.02, and Maloney of Arkansas was third, 3:46.48.
And the shot put was won by Michael Carter of SMU, not one of his best throws, 66 feet 5 3/4 of an inch. Kelly Brooks of the University of Texas was second with his career best of 66 feet 5 inches. Third place went to McGinnis of Texas A&M, 58 feet 7 1/4.
With the backdrop of Todd Harbour, you catch Dennis Brantley, the freshman star from SMU, winning in 13 79/100 of a second. It took the phototimer to separate he and Cletus Clark, another star from Houston, and a freshman also, in 13 79/100 of a second. And it was Stephen Baker from the Houston Cougar team in third place, 13 98/100 of a second.
Then in the 400-meter dash, Zeke Jefferson won it from Baylor, 44 86/100 of a second, and what a race that was. Kerr of A&M won it, was second at 44.90, and Carter of SMU, 46.02. Great race, 400-meter dash.
And continuing our results of the Southwest Conference Track and Field meet, Carl Lewis, the incomparable Carl Lewis, winning the 100-meter dash with the 3rd fastest time ever run in the event, 10 seconds flat, and I believe also the fastest ever at sea level. Finishing second, another freshman, Rod Richardson of Texas A&M, 10.37. Third place, another freshman, Bruce Davis of Baylor, 10.42.
In an outstanding 800-meter race, it was Sam Koskei from the University of Southern Methodist in 1 minute 45 3/10 of a second. That is the nation's leading 800-meter time. Randy Stevens from Arkansas, achieving a personal best by almost 3 seconds, was second, 1 minute 46 23/100 of a second. And the fine runner James Mays, 4th last year in the NCAA, was 3rd here today.
And continuing the 400-meter hurdles won by Reggie.